bit more of a negative feel to things here this morning as futures continue to slide. Currently, we're heading back towards session lows here. That's the Nasdaq right now on the back of a few earnings reports that are not the greatest this morning. The headliner from after the close yesterday, of course, PLTR downside to the tune of more than 8% at the lows here this morning off that 210 mark that it hit after the close yesterday. Uber, meanwhile, out this morning. Just be aware, if you are keeping an eye on Uber currently, the call is on. The CEO currently making some comments that are not being received well. New lows right now for Uber, or headlines involving Nvidia this morning as well. To the downside we go, a big gap, 207 down to 202. We hit 211 and change at the highs yesterday. Will we or won't we also learn about this pay package for Tesla, or learn a little bit more about this pay package for Tesla coming up today? The Norwegian fund doesn't seem to like it.
No.
Is going to vote no to this $1 trillion pay package for Tesla. So Tesla gapping to the downside pretty large here this morning as well.
Yeah, and you and I were talking off camera. Elon Musk making the rounds over the last week or so on the podcast sort of syndicate on the Rogan, all in, obviously trying to make his case for, yes, this upcoming vote. And this is one of the biggest funds in the world, $2 trillion assets under management, making their opinion very clear that they will be voting no against that. We'll have to see how Elon reacts. There's a whole lot to talk about today, guys. Mag 7 all down as a result of Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley CEOs are out in Hong Kong, Brendo, at a financial conference, making the statements that they, 10 to 20% pullback in the next coming year or so, not out of the question. Uber, as Brendo mentioned, down aggressively here, 8%, looking to go SSR. But we also got more earnings names. We got Shopify, we got Spotify, we got as well as Race reporting Hims and Hers. There's a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, Ferrari not looking too good. You can look at it in New York, you can look at it over in Italy, but not looking too good. Worth mentioning as well, Scott Bessent was making some comments. Haven't seen anything new for a few minutes. Maybe he has wrapped things up, but even he was talking about Nvidia as well, saying they could sell Blackwells to China and that they're the prized possession as far as Nvidia goes. So SHOP, yeah, it was just as we came on there, I heard made a new low. Was holding up a little bit better than the rest, but no longer here. So tough to find anything on the positive side this morning. Market not looking great here to start things off, feeling a bit different here, guys. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Opening up to a red day.
Well, I can find something on my quote board that's not red. Just one thing, though, and that's UVXY.
And Denny's.
Well, that's not on my quote board.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about that. Who actually owns Denny's shares?
Yeah, Denny's is up. Denny's is getting bought by somebody I don't remember for $6.25. Probably should remember, but it ultimately doesn't matter. So that's actually upside, and like you said, volatility is going to be up. There's some things that aren't as bad, right? Like energy, like Disney's on here, like Eli Lilly, not that much, because really it's tech that's down. And a lot of people have asked, like, why is everything down? What's going on? Is it over? Well, ultimately, a lot of times when everyone's signaling for a top, they look for an excuse or something, like canary in the coal mine, whatever it might be. Palantir beats, and they decide to sell it. We've been in an environment where they've been selling earnings. I kind of thought it'd be like an 8:30 sell, like hold on to it and then just do what like Amazon did, where you're gapped up and then they sell it back, or like Microsoft did a very similar thing. In this particular case, it's already gapped down. And when you have this kind of a rally, sometimes this is exactly what happens. We'll get into Palantir talking about them. As said, that Uber, the call being on right now, that's the one actually, like Palantir didn't really move much in the last few minutes, but Uber actually rolled over again here. So be a little careful with this one. There's going to be, in between this and Palantir, there might be some opportunities at the open for like an SSR bounce. Like this is sniffing 10%. Already to the downside. And it's not like Uber didn't beat either. This was also a beat.
Look, I mean, hey, everybody. Hope you're all doing quite well on this day. And yeah, look, everybody wanted to get a buy the dip and some opportunities to do that. And today, you're going to get that, even in a name like Tesla, down 3% here right now and going lower as, the Norwegian sovereign fund is going to be apparently saying no to the pay package, which could threaten Elon Musk's job, not his job, but he'll leave. if he doesn't get the pay package. And that's what's hindering right now Tesla, which has been an absolute monster, right? I mean, we don't need to be throwing in the towel here for anything. Palantir is back to where it was last Thursday. And yeah, you know, they beat everywhere. And this is, I think there's traders yesterday that were talking about, first of all, the green is going to lose. We had that vote yesterday. Green was heavily favored. And I think that's part of the problem is everyone was just thinking, all right, where's the next sort of move happening for Palantir? Is it going to get to that 250? Because it was such a good report, the algos got it pretty early and got it up to that 215, 220 area. But yeah, it's selling back into 190, right? Just into some past possible support areas right there, as the warning is that AI trade may be over with. But even if it is, which it's not, you still want to buy the best companies, and no one's doing what Palantir is doing. So today you're finally going to get a move down. I mean, we were sitting here yesterday, it was up 5%, you know, and today you're down 8%. So let's give it down 3% over 2 days. I don't think it's the end of the world for this name, but because it was $200 and where the PE is, it's going to be shot, right? I mean, it's going to get taken out and probably shot for a couple days. Like, this could be a 3-day trade where you definitely, in my opinion, want to buy the dips. You want growth names. That's what you want in your portfolio, is growth names. I think the same fate's going to happen to AMD today. After hours, I'm not sure what report they're going to be able to put up that's going to spark this thing. So I think AMD continues to go a little bit lower here as well, as this trade starts to unwind just a little bit here into earnings. So, I mean, look at the Nasdaq still faltering a little bit here. SoFi probably going to get to a buy spot at some point here, even very soon, down 4%. We had a nice little trajectory movement into the 50-period moving average, where that's going to be 27.50. And then, of course, we look at iBid and we look at Bitcoin and we say, uh-oh, because this name just can't find a bid here either, and that's down another 2.5%, breaking through 105.
103.5 is the double bottom here on Bitcoin.
Okay, so yeah, so that was the next level, 103.
You lose this 103.5, and then it's lookout below. For now, it's bouncing, but a little bit of a flat. You can't call it a flat bottom break because there's not enough support for it to be a flat bottom break. It's just a double bottom, and then you got 100K. So if we lose 103.5, then as I said, could we look out below? It really, when volatility's like this.
I mean, Ethereum's already getting.
Well, ETH is a little different because, you know, it was certainly a little bit weaker yesterday. Oh, don't sneeze. It was certainly a lot weaker yesterday. And if you look at it concerning support, like, it already broke that 37,000 support level. Sorry, 3,700 already got broken down, and it's kind of consolidating under support. So it's kind of, and we expect that to happen. I mean, Bitcoin, I expect that to happen, holding up a little bit better than Ethereum. I think iBit is the one I will trade. Ooh, Tesla just took another leg down. I guess the market's doing it as well. Yeah, Tesla just broke 454 and yesterday's low. So even this continuing to fall. Yep, red start to the morning, although we've seen this story before. Sometimes when it looks the worst really early, the first thing that happens at 9:30 can be a buy. You have to look out for that always when we have one of these doom and gloom sort of starts to the morning.
Yeah, it'll be fine. We'll get this market back up. I mean, look, there is going to be some drift. I mean, I don't think the Fed is most likely going to cut, but that likeliness is getting worse and worse every single day. As yesterday was, 68%? Let me just review this and refresh it right now. Get that sad face out of the way. Oh, 69. Okay, so same. So it's staying around the same. I figure this will get a little bit lower, which will send the VIX in a little bit of a tizzy, right? So once this gets closer to 50%, the VIX will start to go and the market will start to retrace even more than it is even right now. Some strong names that are staying up there. Apple's not, I mean, 266 is fine, but that 270 is the most recent high. So we're not too far away from that. We did get up to that 270, 280, breaking it on earnings, just fading back just a little bit. All these names are just like hovering a little lower, right? The names that are in trouble big time, I think, are Meta. We were talking about, oh, well, we might be a buyer at 620. Well, that came pretty quick right there. It's already at 620 right here and probably gets to there today, down another $10. I mean, we want to look at Apple. You want to talk about the king, and then you want to look at Meta. Like, there's a big difference here between these two names. And then you got strong names like Google and Amazon that I was telling to Joe when we arrived here this morning, that I think a name like Google and Amazon probably will get bought up the first because of the strength in these names over their report and the news in the last couple of days. So let's continue to watch out for this. Both these names down. Every tech name is going to be down between 2 to 4% pretty much if you just throw a dart at a name. That's what you're going to see. And then the higher flying names will be down a little bit more. SMR was down 9% yesterday, and okay, down again here today. Was just wondering, down another 6% today. Oh gosh, good thing we didn't get involved in that trade either. And then the name Oracle keeps on getting hit as well, and that's now down at 250. So this is what I mean. Like, see, there's another 3%. Throw a dart, and you'll probably get that 3 to 5%. 2 to 5% or so damage. Oh, we had Starbucks came up with a story. They sold some of their unit there into China, so that might be a positive story here today. Some Hong Kong-based group taking over the Chinese operations, or a portion of it, anyways. But this name could be one that's pretty strong. And then just checking in on the major banks as they start to go a little bit downside as we get that warning from Goldman Sachs and whatnot about a possible market downturn. They just tipped out to 320 back in a little bit here for JP Morgan. So yeah, lots. No matter what you're doing today, there's lots to talk about. I've even looked at gold. I think gold was relatively flat around 360.
Yeah, pretty flat right now.
GLD. So, all right. Anything else?
AMD's at 250.
Yeah, AMD's a short. AMD I have written down here as my #1 trade.
The annoying thing about AMD,
I made the most money on AMD recently. So
the only thing about AMD is like it's not annoying. But it would be nice if it would be as simple as to stay in the same range it's been in, like 5 days in a row, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where you effectively have a little bit of a decline, but it's just moving $6 or $7 and giving you both sides of the trade. Like wherever it is in the morning, it's going to revert back to the top or bottom of the range. This time you're breaking down underneath 254. So it's actually on the top of my list as well. Just because that structure was so clean. It's like if it breaks 254, then short the top. If it doesn't, then short what was the prior support level. And they report after the bell. If we're concerned about valuations, I mean, in the AI space, and these guys certainly fit that bill as well. But there's a lot of things that look pretty weak. And we'll go right back up to the desk. But even, like Micron was up. Micron was what, 5% yesterday, I believe, something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean,
and now down 4%. Right, so it just essentially gives up a bunch of yesterday's move, catching some strays from the rest of the market. Let's get on up to the desk. I believe we're going to have Mitch coming on, but I think so.
There was one interesting note. I was reading about this early on this morning, but big mover last week, NOK, back to the downside here with the overall market back below $7 this morning. They're taking one of their ADRs out of Paris, maybe heavily overweight the listing here in the U.S., potentially instead. Not really going to affect things on the U.S. side for today per se, but it's always interesting when companies like a Nokia, for example, especially on the back of a huge run up and a huge headline last week, come out with this move to quietly delist from an exchange as well.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like just a statement there, Brendo, that they're focusing more on North American markets. I mean, I have no idea. The article says here that trading volumes, costs, and administrative requirements related to the listing on the Euronext Paris were some of the reasons that they decided to remove it. But they're going to remain on the Helsinki exchange, Brendo, and obviously the ADRs in North America. Yeah,
not a lot of action here as far as price action anyways. If you zoom out a little bit, this was the day we were talking about going back to last week. Got all the way up to $8, $8.20 even at the high there. We're all the way back to $6.90 trying to hold on the downside. Nvidia still trying to hold early on levels here. AMD I just saw pop up here this morning as well. Yeah, we did get through that level. So 255, I guess, 252, 255 was a bit of support for AMD. Session lows, guys, for semiconductors right now.
I have AMD marked down as my #1 trade short idea today. I mean, ahead of what's going to be potentially a good earnings call, I have no idea, right? I mean, I look at Palantir's numbers and I see beat WAP. So for AMD, I mean, what do you think is going to happen here? Like, I just look at it and say, all right, I'm not going to try to predict the earnings call, but what I'm going to try to do is fade the momentum in what the market's been doing to names that are just overly jacked up. And I mean, right here, AMD is well off of its 50-period moving average. Like, this has just been hoisted up here as if they're getting their winter tires on. Well, guess what? It's not snowing anymore, and then it's going to come right back into some of these levels. I think AMD's you know, destined for this 210 to 220 area at some point here. Whether or not it happens tomorrow or the next day, I don't know. But I want to really play momentum here in AMD. And right now it's fade, right? I mean, look at AMD. We kept on making high, high, high. Whoop, then we got a bad wick. Of course, as soon as I start doing something, you know, there's the high, high, high. The idea is we're making lower highs, except for right there, I guess, where we wind up closing a little bit higher into 260 into the morning, and then whoosh, they say, oh, that was a mistake. So I just look at this trend. I think it's already down, you know, obviously making lower lows as well, sort of, as we go down. So I know this trend to me is definitely looking top left to bottom right-ish, and now that bottom right is confirmed. So for me, on advanced micro devices, look, I mean, it's too bad because I'd written down this 254, 253 area. Now we're a little bit off of that. So we may need a bump to get going. But look what the market's doing, Neil. The market's actually going a little bit here. And AMD is not doing anything at all right now to this little. I mean, it's a blip, this little bump in the market, but it's still going lower. So for me, advanced micro devices is a short. And hopefully I'll be able to get an opportunity to do that when the market opens. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm in the same vein, but there's another one actually. I just remembered this. Oh, the Intel broke its trend from September earnings. Well, I mean, it's breaking on the daily chart. Technically speaking, it's literally breaking it with today's candle. But seeing as the break of the trend line is like $39.50 and it's at 38, I'm gonna go out on a limb and call that one a high probability that this is broken trend. I mean, I don't know, whatever. Like obviously, there's some probability that Intel closes above $39.50, and it isn't actually a break of the upward trend. But if I had to put a number on it, I'd put it at like less than 5%. So as far as I'm concerned, this should also be a short. I'll play all the standard stuff because there's no level here. This is just its breaking trend on the daily, so I want to favor the short. Like AMD actually has levels that we discussed, so maybe the pre-market highs. But I want to fade these, at least a couple of them, looking weak. But it's worth noting that Nvidia, to its credit, Nvidia has held, at least so far, knock on wood, its support, which is just above the $200 level. So it's barely holding on here by like slim pickings. Like AMD broke it, Intel broke trend. I'm going to favor those two as opposed to Nvidia here because it's actually holding on to some support. Doesn't mean it's going to, but it just looks a tad better. So I want to give it its due. And as we've talked about a couple times, right, like oddly enough, Nvidia's got the better, between Nvidia and AMD, like it's actually got the better PE. So I would suspect that it's the one that gets dip bought first. Throw in the fact that, of course, we get the report tonight on AMD, and that plays into it as well. And while we're at it, there's another one. I'm just going to throw ARM up here because, down 4%. Well, I mean, it's actually, because it's down more than it's down more than AMD. It's down more than Nvidia.
You throw a dart and you get 4%. Like CoreWeave's probably 4%. Like they're all
and this is the thing. Like these guys
still up there,
but these guys have been Somebody's been selling when it gets to $180 anyways. But this is starting to pull back. I think this one can see the 200 period moving average. Forget about the 50. That's like 1 day away. But this $140 from here, that's only $20. Like I can see this dropping like 10% to be a bit of a dip buy at the 200 period moving average. I'm just throwing it out there because I own ARM and I sold some and I want to buy some back if I see that 200 period moving average. And I don't think that's a day away, but the 50 period's a day away on ARM.
Still nicely holding up there for sure. So, the 100 period, the 200 period is 140. Yeah, I think it's going to be that might not even.
I could see that.
Oh, okay. I
could see that.
Have they reported
already? I
already?
before the end of the year. No, we have to wait for the report.
Oh, okay. If they have to report, then yeah. All right. I think we are ready to go over to Mitch. All right. Let's go over and see what Mitch from Trade the Pool is talking about and see if he's got some short or long ideas for us and what his opinion on this market is. Brendan Sharif, take it away.
Yeah, let's bring in Mitch right away. Mitch has a bunch of short ideas, including Mitch Hoke. Good to see you. Bitcoin?
What's going on?
I pulled this BITI
guys.
up and have never looked at it before. It looks, in my opinion, a bit of a heart attack, but that's just me.
Yeah, the biddy, man. That's the one that I'm looking at for the long. I was talking about it yesterday, and I can see the volume that's been getting in this thing, and that's what kind of put me on alert yesterday. Seeing that was really starting to make a bigger break to the upside, and there's a lot of volume that's been loading into this name, and we all know that there's been back and forth liquidations in Bitcoin. I think that you're now starting to run into more of that bear time in Bitcoin. Yes, I'm saying it here, guys. And I think that this is actually going to be the beginning, right? If we really think about it, kind of Bitcoin led this early rally, then, you know, AI really kind of pushed it to the next level. So this is when momentum trades start to break. And, you know, you got to really be careful here. You're going to see a flight to quality. That's what we saw last week. And then even quality starting to fail. That's when you got to be starting to get on alert. The truth is in the pudding, guys. I know you guys have been trading right now, and trading is just not as easy as it was a month ago, right? So the expectations that you have need to be tamed here. And this is the kind of tape where you repeatedly get stopped out during the day, and then the stock goes either higher or lower overnight. You're starting to see these overnight gaps, right? So there's two ways of playing it. Well, you can play it on the intraday and try to ride out the momentum in the overnight action by being really small, or you're just trying to play big fast. But in this market where you're seeing a lot of traps, that's where it gets hard to play big and fast, right? So I'm actually doing the opposite. I'm trying to take a step back. I'm trying to play really small and looking for bigger ranges of the trade, because you can get an easy, like, plenty of trades. I'm sure you've seen this morning, right? You saw them 2 or 3 points up higher yesterday, and now they're 3 or 4 points down this morning. And then when you get to the intraday, it's going to be tough to short these names because they're already down so much, right? The pressure has already been pushed. And so this is when they come and get you guys. What do? Overtrade. That's what they want you to do here. So the number one thing you want to do, brake pedal now. It's no longer that gas pedal that we just had.
Yeah, great point. I mean, Nvidia $10 off yesterday's high going into the pre-market here this morning. So big moves down across the board. So we're short Bitcoin, we're short gold miners too, you say, Mitch.
Gold miner. AU is one of my favorite trades on the upside and the downside, guys. So AU's, this chart loves to kind of lead the rally and also lead the fall. You can see 3 tops all in this kind of 69, 70 area. That's your resistance. Now you're starting to fall through support. I was looking at this trade yesterday. It's already continuing that action. And this is going to be the interesting one, right? Where they used to tell you all the time that the market goes, like gold goes up when the market comes down. Well, watch how this is kind of not in that correlation. And you're going to see actually gold come heading down here. And you've seen it in all the mineral plays, right? They've all started to take a hit. The only one that's kind of holding up is coal, but that might just be an energy trade. Nothing that I really see. There's names like USAR that have completely come crashing down. Also in Bitcoin, the miners are a short opportunity. Even speculation names like BMNR and GameStop short. Yeah, because it's now holding Bitcoin. It's going to be a Bitcoin proxy. And these are the types of trades that I can see starting to develop.
Mitch Hoke's dog making a cameo this morning on the show. What's your dog's name?
You know how it is.
What's his name? His?
Oh,
him?
It's actually, that's a Hendrix, the cat. That's,
it's a cat.
He's a little rock and roll cat.
I saw the ear, and I wasn't sure, but anyway.
He's trying to get on the show. His name's Hendrix. You know how it is.
Let's get to Palantir here. A lot of people focused on this one this morning. We're trying to hold here some key levels. I zoomed out a little bit here, going back a week or so. 190, 185 to 190, bit of an area here. What are you thinking with PLTR?
Yeah, I think you're heading to the 50 real soon. You know, one of the things that Sean just said, look for those 50s to come into play now, right? You're breaking these short-term moving averages. You're going to go to more of that medium-term pullback. And am I saying that Palantir is completely done? No, but I do think that this leaves room. If there's one name that they can start to come after and really break momentum, it's in Palantir, right? The earnings and the forward outlook is just completely through the roof. And that's all great when things are going well. But the first sign of momentum breaking, these are also the names that start to break, right? So now you start to look for names that even just don't have fundamentals behind them, right? That might have gone really far, but are they really making earnings? And those are the types of questions you need to be asking yourself, like let's say like a Joby and things like that. It has earnings coming up, but it might just get wrecked right now. And then there's no real fundamentals behind these companies, right? These are just more what I call story stocks, right? They have a good story, they have good drive, and in a euphoric market can rally really high, but also can come crashing because there's nothing really supporting it.
One of those days when we might need to zoom out a little bit and look at higher time frames and get a little bit of context. Everything feels pretty
100%.
red, pretty negative right now. I mean, I just pulled up the weekly chart here of Palantir. It's still, this is including this morning. It's still monstrous to the upside. So I think it's important for people to, just take a step back and, as you said, eyes down, take your foot off the gas a little bit and understand where we are.
It's a time, right? And I think there was a time last week, really. I think last week was the caution. We started to see some momentum names start to break. But, of course, the buy the dip mentality was so massive that the dip buyers were out there and they were buying. But look at names like, let's say like QUBT and those quantum names. Those are more of what I'm talking about, where there's really no fundamentals behind here. This is just a story stock that's made a big breakout. You see 3 or 4 drives and now has made a key reversal off of that 25 area. These can come crashing down. They could come all the way back down to 5. There's no reason to say that these need to hold up. And a lot of that is there's no fundamentals behind it.
All right, quickly on Tesla, I guess. What do you expect here as far as information today, as far as this pay package goes, and price action to go along with that, with Tesla?
This is going to be a hard one, right? Because you might see downside action in intraday until you see that news come out and then a rip higher. This is where it just gets very difficult to trade Tesla. We all know how it's a kind of a dragon to trade. I'm sure if anyone's traded it before, even 40 or 50 shares, it can move in a heartbeat. So I think at this one, you can maybe do an opening action short just because the way the market's looking and it's continuing to fall. But that news comes in and it goes higher. I think if for some reason the pay package weren't to go through, that'd actually be a disaster for Tesla and it could be down big. The truth is, headline risk today, I think there's other plays to be had, right?
All right, what's new over at Trade the Pool here this week?
Well, at Trade the Pool, of course, we're pushing and we're going to be releasing all the videos from our tour. We went to Canada. We went to the Money Show. So look towards a really cool video on that. And then, of course, we're continuing the trading action. Got more and more trading going on our stream. We even got, for a little while, we got like a phone call-in area where you guys can call in, talk about some trades. So, hey, if you want to come check us out, like always, Trade the Pool is here to help you, limit risk in a time like this. This is exactly when you need to limit risk, right? Those heavy drawdowns on days like today are how you get back all that good momentum that you just had for the 3 months prior to this. I looked at my returns and I said, you know what? It's really time to hit the brake pedal here. Not time to hit the gas pedal for the end of the year. You make 5-6% more, but really you're putting the exposure out there in a time when we're starting to see choppy markets. Another thing to look for is maybe a Black Friday rally, right? And that's early thinking, but watch for maybe 2 weeks of downside. I'm looking for a 5% correction in the SPY. That could put us right back down at support, and then we go right back up to the upside. This is not bear market. This is correction playing in and momentum taking a back seat.
Mitch Hoke with good advice for a Red Tuesday. Best of luck today, my friend. Good to see you.
Get after it, guys. A little bit of some yang, maybe. Short China. Let's go.
I mean, I could feel that.
But I like we were just talking about the moving averages, and I kind of agree. Went to get my French toast and muted myself. Which, by the way, the breakfast, I was telling Sean, I think I got the worst piece of French toast that we had for the breakfast.
And you threw one out before that, so you...
No, I threw out the corner of the one. It was so tough.
Oh, the corner of the same one.
Of the same one that I got. I felt I was just the most unlucky. No, but we were talking about moving averages. I think that's going to be so key today. If you see okay, why am I on BMNR? Maybe let's just go to Palantir. Because when key levels come in, and technically speaking, the 50's pretty far down here, 177, but the prior high in the mid 180s, that's a key place. Can we hold on to that today? When dip buyers come in, they come in usually at obvious levels. So if they don't step in here, if they don't step in here, I expect them to step in probably around just underneath the 180 and 177. Now that's a long way to fall, and maybe that doesn't happen until tomorrow. But stocks that are at those types of key levels, that's where you want to look for that like reversion or dip buy, and it'll give us proof whether or not the dip buy is there when you get something at a key price level. You know, whether it's the prior highs, whether it's a 50 period, or not many things that I'm looking at are at the 200 period moving average, but I'm sure there's a few. But there's also some upgrades and downgrades where I bet we should have some interesting names on the downgrade side of the list, Joe.
I mean, hey, we'll take a look at those for sure, Neil, without any question. Upgrades, downgrades. Let's get it started, guys. At the top of the list today, we have, yes, Apple getting that price target raised to $300 by DZ Bank. Now, Cypher Mining as well, too, guys. Price target going to $26. And you can see we're down 6 3/4 roughly there. Needham and Company giving that nod. CrowdStrike also by BTIG Research getting the nod, guys. $640 is going to be that price target. We're down 1.5% on the session. Now, Palantir reporting after the bell yesterday. Price target $225 by Piper Sandler, but down 8%, a little bit more than that on the session, guys. And then for the downgrades, we have NVTS by Rosenblatt Securities, down 16.3%. Price target to $8. That's not looking too good. And then we have Quad U, guys, Energy Fuels by H.C. Wainwright, getting that price target lowered to $26. And Caesar Entertainment by Jefferies, $22 is going to be that price target. Now, Denny's, surprisingly, up 50% on the session, going from an outperform to a market perform by Oppenheimer. All right, guys, now let's take a look at some of the options activity. We have IREN at that $70 strike price. Open interest sitting around 6,700 and the volume around 11,900. Now, as for Rigetti Computing, guys, open interest is 278 contracts. No, that is no K behind that one, 278 actual contracts. So, I mean, that's relatively light from a open interest standpoint, but volume sitting around 18,900, and that's going to be at that $45.50 strike price, once again expiring at the end of the week. Now, Meta, with its continuous selling on yesterday's session and gapping down this morning, open interest 8.7 thousand with the volume 17,400 at that $660 strike price. And you can see that the high of the day was roughly around that neck of the woods. Now, something that we find very interesting as the crypto space continues its downward trajectory. I found this yesterday on the November 21st expiration cycle, that open interest is extremely high for IBIT. Now, we've had the inability to breach $65. We have 118,000 contracts. I'm going to be looking at that as a call wall. All right, guys. So you can see that the bid and the ask is still relatively tight, only $3. And the at-the-money IV is cool as well, too, with 44.6% at-the-money IV. And then the gamma cool as well. And then the delta, considering you're so far out of the money on that strike price, or on that strike, sorry, it's not going to affect the contracts too much. The more it slides, the delta is going to slowly decay as well and get lower and lower and lower. So the fluctuation of that specific contract isn't going to be as drastic, guys.
All right, let's have a look at the overall market here. We'll get into the watch list after that.
68.83, guys. That's where we closed out yesterday on the ES December contract. We're well below that now, down over 1%. So here's the deal. The overnight low is 67.86. But look at this key area of support back in mid-October from the, I believe, the 20th until we broke out through that level on the 23rd. We were actually resisting into 67.75. So that's going to be our first level of support, 67.75. And then if we trend up for whatever reason, look how many times we tested 68.50 as support. We're going to use that today as resistance.
If you haven't done so yet, make sure you take advantage of this free stuff for you. Go down to the description of this video. Top link there will get you to the sign-up page for the watch list. If you haven't done so yet, just enter your email address. Comes right to your inbox every single morning. Has everything you need to know on it. Today is jam-packed, to say the least. We've got a few out this morning in the pre-market here. We'll touch on some of them coming up here, including Palantir, the big one after the close yesterday. Worth noting, interesting enough anyways, the initial move was higher on the algo spike and then gets absolutely smacked after that, down through 200. here we are back to basically session lows right now. It's sitting right now at 190, even though this was a pretty good report.
It was. I'm assuming that's why it spiked up initially in the algos as they read the report. Really good report. Earnings per share, guys, 21 pennies. The street won at 17, so an easy beat on the bottom line. Revenue, 1.18 billion. The street was looking for 1.09, so an easy beat, top and bottom line. And their revenue, guys, 63% year-over-year increasing. In the net income, their profitability also tripling year over year, up to $475.5 million. That's what their take-home money is. Their guidance also decent. Q4 revenue projected to be $1.33 billion, well above though the $1.5 billion expected by the street. Sales forecast is good, as well as free cash flow. And let's talk about their contracts now. U.S. government contracts. So they make the majority of their money from government contracts, up 52% year over year. $486 million they took home. They're really dominating the defense analytics space, Brendo. But their commercial revenue, that's the one we've been talking a lot more about. That doubled year over year, $397 million, with a total contract value for commercial deals now being $1.31 billion. Shares are up 170% year to date. You got to feel there's some profit taking up there.
I mean, one of those, again, zoom out, go to a weekly chart, get some context on this, because, yeah, it looks pretty bad here this morning so far. But very, very small if you look at the overall move here, guys. Thoughts for Palantir?
You can look at a monthly chart too. I mean, weekly, monthly, I guess. I mean, either one's gonna put something in a little bit of perspective, right? So we're talking about, I think I said 8. I counted these yesterday. I think the first one was 9 and then a red month, and then it was like 8 and there hasn't been a red month. So like, is it due for one? Yeah, probably. And the last time it had a red month, the next month was the biggest up month that it has had. Actually, that looks like ever. I'm not gonna, I mean, from a dollar amount, percentage-wise, probably not. So you're in the midst of, unless we can talk about valuation all you want, but ultimately, like at what valuation does it become a dip by? I don't know the answer to that question. I didn't know the answer to at what valuation does it make the top. Now you have a topping tail candle. So to me, I'm looking for 2 things today. One, right away, can it hold these prior highs? That's simple. If it doesn't, then to me, there's obviously the 50-period moving average sitting in here underneath $180. If it gets down underneath even like 186, I think 186 or so, it'll be SSR. So once you get underneath that, I'm thinking for like an SSR bounce. Like the key price for me was the 194, and we're already trending away from that. So underneath 194, I think it's a short until we get to that SSR bounce point. But I also told myself, you know, if Palantir gets dinged, make sure I have a look at Lumen. And as Mitch said, or as anybody, as a lot of people are looking at this, if we're having a top where the runners are getting beat up and even good earnings are getting sold off, then sometimes it's going to be the things that have gone the furthest. And Lumen has been up because of a Palantir deal and been absolutely flying. And that's right at like prior resistance. So this ran right into the close on Palantir's earnings, and then it's like 1130 to 1140 area, and it's hugging it a little bit closer. So this is one that I'm actually looking short to the pre-market highs as well. And if Palantir's flying, like maybe this is not one that I'm gonna like, but if it's continued downtrend, then I like this one as also a bit of a sympathy play. It was up from like $7 to almost $11, $12 because of the Palantir deal in just like a week and a half. So these kind of things can retrace. If we bounce the 50-period moving average, I don't think you get there today on Palantir, but certainly maybe tomorrow or end of the week. That's a good spot to buy the dip.
Yeah, I mean, we already had this question numerous times. I mean, even Mitch came on here and was like, yeah, 50-period moving averages are good spots to start to buy them. I mean, we've been talking about that forever. Palantir is just due for a pullback. I mean, it's crazy hot stock. And if we are going to worry about AI and we are going to try to sell things and raise capital, I mean, why not? I mean, if you bought Palantir any day in your life besides the last 3 days, you're up money on this stock. You know, let alone the charts that both Brendan and Neil keep showing. So yeah, it's going to be due for a pullback. I think everyone that's hating on Palantir, or not hating on it, but you know, enjoying this little rundown, are people that have shorted, you know, before earnings. And I think that that's a good play. I don't think there was anything wrong with taking a shot. The implied move was 10%. It's 8%. So you know, it's not even extending further than where it should, options wise. I'm not even sure options traders are even winning right now. So We're going to have to wait to see where this stock trades off the open. Alex Karp was on some other station apparently. It's just coming right back into some great levels. We've seen Palantir make these moves before numerous times, and it keeps getting bought up. You know, the other thing that's going to happen here, if we're talking about national security, we're talking about taking stakes in different companies, we're buying MP metals, United States is buying rare earth names, they're putting some money into Intel. I mean, de facto, Palantir, they have such a huge government business already in the US government. I'm sure Mr. Karp is phoning his good friend right now and maybe explaining to him that potentially there's a stock that's going to be on sale pretty soon and the US government may want to take stake. Oh, by the way, so watch out. So Palantir is a buy anyways at some point. I just want to give everyone an attention here. Webull, you know, is breaking through $10 now. So talk about buying dips that haven't worked at all. Right here, Webull just continues 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 maybe days in a row to the downside here, giving it all back and now going much lower than I think it's ever been. So there goes Webull at all-time lows right now. So if you bought it and didn't sell it, then yeah, maybe you're buying more or holding it. And then the other name that just broke through as well today, that we've been looking forward to this break, is $30 on DraftKings. So there goes DraftKings lower as well, as the best companies will continue to rise and survive moves like this, and other names that just don't have the proper headwinds, tailwinds, sorry, turning into headwinds now are breaking of support. When you get support broken, all of a sudden these, you know, key areas that have been bought up now become, you know, pressure points. So watch out for this right now today on DraftKings, finally breaking through $30. So yeah, there's a lot of names moving up and down here today. And hey, you could do a lot worse being invested in something other than Palantir over the last month. So let's go back over the desk and find out Uber, which we've talked about many times, hitting that $100 level as well.
Just can't break it.
Yeah, downside as well here this morning, although we are trying to bounce off 91 right now. This is one of many headlines to digest as far as Uber's earnings report. CEO on the call saying robotaxis will not be profitable for a few years, probably expected, but you and I were kind of chuckling at the fact that we sat here last week and talked about they're ordering 20,000 Lucids to fill these spots as autonomous Ubers. So it's kind of expensive.
$100,000 a pop, Brendo. I mean, like more. I think they're using the gravity. They're not even using the air, so which is even more money there. Let's talk about how they did on earnings, because it was pretty good report. Revenue, guys, almost $13.5 billion they're bringing home now. That's above the 13.25 expected by the street, and also a 20% increase year over year. Earnings per share, $3.11, not immediately apparent whether it's comparable to last year's estimate. Net income, though, tripling year over year, $6.6 billion in profit on the quarter. Compare that to last year when they took home 2.6, really driven though by one-off $4.9 billion tax-related benefit, as well as a $1.5 billion equity reevaluation gain. Good data all across. Let's talk about their mobility segment. They used to report 3 different segments: mobility, delivery, and freight. We're not getting the freight anymore, and I don't know why. Mobility, though, $25.11 billion in gross bookings, up 20% year over year. Revenue on that, $7.68 billion, slightly above estimates. And their delivery, Brendo, continues to catch up to mobility here. 23.32, growing faster than mobility, up 25% year over year, and they took about $4.48 billion in revenue, topping estimates.
And further cementing their verb aspect.
Yeah.
To Uber everywhere is now the thing, guys.
That's how you know.
So that makes sense. It's down 7%.
Yeah, well, I mean, where was the bad part of that report? It's becoming a bit of a broken record this earnings season, where like you are a wealth of names, and even the ones that are gapping up or initially starting higher on a strong report are getting sold off a little bit. But you know, in Uber's case, it's a little different from a few of the other names we've talked about in that this has really struggled to break out this high. It seemed like it had all the momentum in the world, and you know, you're rejecting this 100 like multiple times. I think there's been like 4 or 5 false breaks of 100 in the last couple of months, and it's trying to break this upward trend. But this is the thing at 9:30, especially on an earnings name like this. It bounced off $90 even in the pre-market, and has a chance to open kind of above this trend line. So, you know, I look at this, it's like, oh, well, it'll be easy to say this is breaking trend, short it. But we could easily open up, like recovering back through that support level, and all you'd be doing is just getting like blown away at the open. So this is the perfect example of, I need a couple of 15-minute prints on this stock off the open, at least one, confirming, okay, they really do want to sell this underneath that trend level, which is about the 94 level. Like, is it really going to hold down here if it's going to be a short? Like, this is an example, but it's also an example of a stock. The 200 period comes into play here for Uber at $86 and potentially a couple of days. So you can get the 2-3 day rule and like this off the 200, but for today, I need to confirm that this is actually going to open underneath this trend line and not just do some crazy snap up at 9:30. Patience is a virtue here.
So, I mean, for me, Uber is right into here, man. This $85 mark, that's going to be your 200 period moving average. We've already hit 85 back all the way back in last year, October of 24. That was the high before quite a nice drop, right? So it's, I don't want, like, everybody is, not everybody, but there's a lot of people that are concerned about some of these moves. I wouldn't be concerned. Like, these are just basically Uber's all the way to where it was back in May. So yeah, like if you just sat in the name, which I did, I'm not trading out of this. I'm long only. I'm not planning on getting out of anything. I'm actually just calculating right now how much room I have for my IRA, so I can put more money into it right now, because I think that these dip downs are going to be buyable opportunities. And there's a couple names. I'm getting the shopping list ready right now, and I think Uber is going to join that list here if we can get an 86 to 85, you know, 85 to 87, something like that print around here for Uber. I mean, the fact that Brendan just called it a verb, I mean, this is exactly the kind of name that I want to be in. I don't think this company is going anywhere. I don't see any reason to fear robo-taxis or anything like that. I mean, their numbers were great. Net income tripled. Mobility delivery segment showed strong growth, and Q4 outlook is positive. Okay, obviously their margins are going to get squeezed. They're going to have to figure that out. I mean, drivers may cease to exist at some point, and that will help margins, but we don't want to get to that point. That's a little far away. So right now, Uber down 7%. It's probably a buying spot right here, right now. But I'm very, very short bias. I mean, yesterday, I don't know if we have like some crazy like 8-ball magic just in our head or something, but like yesterday we wrote down on the sticky note, every single thing we had was short yesterday on that note. You know, and then today it's like whoosh all the way down to the downside. So, I mean, I hope some of you are able to hold some of those overnight. Uber had a good report, got hit. Palantir had a good report, got hit. Nvidia's only had great news coming from them the last couple of days, getting hit, right? Their report's coming in a couple weeks. AMD is tonight. So where do you think the trajectory of that stock is for advanced micro devices? I mean, I'm thinking lower, right? So we're going to wait to see right there where AMD does and hold that 250 for now. We'll see if that can hold when the market opens up. But we're going to go talk about some Nvidia right now. But those are my thoughts on Uber and shopping list type stuff.
Okay, Nvidia, downside this morning, although, as Sean was just explaining there, we're just basically back to the bottom end of the range. So we double tapped that 211.50, call it 212 area over the past few days up here, and then straight back down to the bottom end of the range this morning here. One of many, I mean, if you remember yesterday, the talk was all about the simple fact that Trump and Xi basically said they're not getting Blackwell, they're not getting the highest product, they're not getting, you know, the best chip. And then Besson comes out this morning and says, there may be a case down the road where that could happen.
We'll have to see how far down the road, Brendo. I mean, but yeah, this has been an on again, off again type of thing. We talked about earlier in September, there was supposed to be delivery of a sample of a B30A, a China-specific Blackwell variant that was supposed to be delivered to Chinese tech. We never heard anything about it, and now we're a month and change later. There's several headlines today on Nvidia, Deutsche Telekom, and Nvidia launching $1.2 billion AI cloud deal for industrial clients. Keep your eye on that. And then separately, of course, there is this issue. Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley are out in Hong Kong, the Global Financial Leaders Investment Summit. CEO David Solomon Brendo expects a 10 to 20% equity correction within 2 years. Same thing with the CEO, Ted Pick. He echoed Solomon's case, basically saying investors should welcome moderate corrections as a sign of a functioning market.
Absolutely. And this, I don't want to say it, could be maybe the start, guys. I don't know. Nvidia, thoughts here?
Start of what? Move
The
down?
start of the move down.
Yeah, maybe.
Look, NVIDIA's got a double top. The difference between NVIDIA for me and AMD and Intel, which we already discussed, was, I mean, NVIDIA didn't break through support. Wow, like there's a bunch of other stuff that kind of broke support levels or broke trends and looks like more obvious shorts. Yeah, double top in here, but unless you're breaking down to, I mean, at least 201, if not 200, to fill that in. I don't know, like what I want to short right in front of support? No, not really. Like that's doesn't make any logical sense to me. So NVIDIA is a bit of a wait and see. Like if we break down right away and spend the opening range hanging out under $200, maybe there's a trend down. But as far as I'm concerned, like the difference was in AMD breaking underneath that 254 support from the last 3 days. So even if it pops back up here, you've got that support turning into resistance. And even if it breaks 54, you have this slight downtrend where you put in these lower highs, and that gives you like the 59 to 60. Like there's a there for me. And it's the same thing with Intel. Like just pick and choose. Like this one also trending down, broke its uptrend on the daily chart, and you've got some sort of obvious areas. Like if it pops back into the prior low at 39s, that's a prior support level. That's what I'm thinking in terms of the weakness. And all of those, and both of those names, and there's several others as well, I pointed to ARM, are actually down more than NVIDIA right now. NVIDIA is down, 2% or so, maybe a little bit more than that. AMD, Intel, ARM, all down 3 to 4%. So I think some of the other names are actually weaker. Part of that is because NVIDIA is a bit of a leader. I'd rather short the weaker names today. So I think I leave NVIDIA alone.
I have on the sticky note, as many of you are asking, where's the note at? It's right here at Trader TV, Sean, like it is every day. I have AMD and Intel, both AMD short 254 if we can get it, Intel short $39. I'm going to stay away from NVIDIA. I still think NVIDIA is the cream of the crop, and if the market's going to go down, this would not be my first position here to short. I'm going to short companies that I believe are not in the same class as NVIDIA, and that would be Intel. So Intel up here, the 200 period moving average, obviously as we write this is at 39, but now you're at 38.5, so we get a pop up into this area. I think we're going to look to short Intel, as look what it's been doing the last couple days, just near, whoops. And now you get finally, a reason to sell it. So let's see if that gets a little bit lower. And then I have the same opinion here for advanced micro devices. I mean, we just saw great reports from Uber. We just saw great reports from Palantir and the like. I mean, Shopify. We're going to go through many of these different names. But AMD here, if we look, just continues to go lower. So I wrote down 253 to 254. That would be basically the pre-market high. If we can get an opportunity to short that. AMD has been the #1 stock on this show, P&L-wise, for many weeks. So I like AMD here, and I think we're going to continue to trade what we've been successful on. So let's go AMD, and let's look for some shorts up near that 53, 54 zone.
Minutes long. Shopify earnings to the downside this morning we go here. One of the reasons right here, the company coming out saying they're going to be impacted by essentially the same dynamics that impacted Q3 gross profit, which was a dip in sales numbers overall, gross sales, but overall a decent report.
Not a bad report, Brando, as you mentioned here. Let's talk about it. $2.84 billion in revenue on the quarter, beating the $2.76 expected and growing at 32% year-over-year increase, slightly faster than Q2's 31% gross. Their gross merchandise volume, meaning the amount of stuff that they sold on all their platforms there, $92 billion, easily beating the 88 expected by the street, and another 32% year-over-year increase. They continue to invest heavily in AI and enhanced merchant tools that help with, website creation, sales data tracking, automated marketing. Now they're guiding decent as well. So their holiday quarter, one of the biggest quarters, Brendo, they're talking about Q4 revenue, growth guidance mid to high 20s range, with gross profit growth low to mid 20s, and their operating expenses as a percentage of revenue expected to fall further, down 30 to 31%. And they're saying they're not really going to get hit too much with tariffs, at least this quarter, but they're not discounting it for next year.
They're not going to get hit with tariffs. We'll see. Interesting. Alex Karp was on CNBC. A lot of people talking about or commenting at least on this Michael Burry positioning this morning around Palantir and Nvidia. If you haven't heard or read yet, he bought a whole bunch of, or reportedly bought a whole bunch of puts on both Palantir and Nvidia. Alex Karp coming out, calling him straight up batshit crazy on CNBC this morning.
The Nvidia thing, though, that scares the hell out of me there. I mean, I wouldn't be shorting this thing with anybody else's money.
We'll see how all of this plays out. But Shopify, anyways, guys, decent report here. But I mean, this is almost a constructive, viable pullback if you zoom out as well on Shopify's chart.
Yeah, I can agree with that. But one thing on Burry, what, no one cares that he bought some Lululemon and some Pfizer too? I mean, those are also.
Oh, did he?
No, it's funny how like if we're gonna care about like what other investors do, like why shouldn't we discuss like all of the buy? Like I look at the Lulu buy and kind of like it. Like whatever, man. And just because we were talking about Lulu at that 200 period, it's like. I wouldn't short Nvidia personally. That's just not my cup of tea. But I actually like the Lulu buy.
I mean, Katina Capital's already in
him. So like, it's one of those weird. We only ever talk about one side of what he does, and not the other. He had a good long years ago in the prison name, slipping my memory. But we'll go to Shopify. Look, Shopify getting more efficient. That's good. Last time I checked, efficiency is a positive. Cutting those expenses. I love the fact you're getting, over 20% growth. They're still sticking with. This already bounced. Unfortunately, like this was probably the best chart looking for an SSR bounce because the 50 period was at 155 and 10% down was pretty much exactly 155. But it made that move already. So barring some kind of, I want to call it a minor miracle because I guess it could really drop $10. It's just nowhere near that. But the 50 period and SSR lined up almost exactly on this stock. It's just not going to get there. But I do like the quarter, unless you bought it at like 7 a.m. or whatever that wick was. I'm not even sure if you could get it. I think you just got to wait it out. The trend has been tremendous. The trend has been tremendous on this, but also very respectable. This is one of the things that we talk about a lot. If you're gonna use a moving average, the best place to do so is one in which the stock respects it, and this has really respected the 50 SMA on the daily. Don't think we get a chance to trade off that today. If we do, then that's the level I'm looking for a bounce play, no question.
Okay, so look at the market trying to bounce back, right? I mean, the market's been pretty good here recently. Remember that 25,000? We're like, oh, we can't break it. Well, we're still 25.7 right now. So let's think about that. But look at this: S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S Bs. Two names that we have no idea what these names even are: BGE, BGIN, and Beta. But every name that you may know are listed as sells here. They're not huge sells, right? They're not big portions at all of stock for sale. Grab just went to the top there as a buy. BBAI sell. We know all these names. The names that aren't making any money are going to get killed in this environment, right? As rates potentially don't go down in December, and that's part of what this hit is happening. I mean, Bitcoin needs lower rates, so that's hitting down now too. All these names that aren't making any money continue to get hit. We had a report from Hims last night as well. We didn't even get to right now here today. That's the one name that's actually up on a report there. But the market continues to fall down. Shopify, again, good report. And if you've been in that name for the last forever, then you've been happy with Shopify. So let's just, we only have now 2 minutes. Let's go talk about another strong stock in Spotify, and then this market will be open.
Just real quick, this was on X, 23 minutes ago. So this is Michael Burry's X account. Fake news, I am not 5'6". Okay, not that there's anything wrong with that. And journalists reporting on 13 Fs, none more fake. So take from that what you will. Maybe he sold them already. But I don't think they can report on an SEC filing that is not inaccurate, but maybe he sold it. Maybe he's out of the position. Who knows? Yeah, we'll have to look into that, Brandon. We'll have to get the SEC filing and see for ourselves. Let's talk about this report, though, guys. A decent report. 4.27 billion euros ahead of the 4.23. Operating income improved sharply. Growth in higher margin subscription services and reduced promotional spending is what strengthened Q3's results. Their monthly active users continue to grow. 745 million monthly active users, beating the expectations in their premium subscribers, Brando, which I fall into. 289 million. Just shy, though. They missed on that number of the 290. We've given it all back here. There was a nice little pop early on here for Spotify this morning, guys. Giving it all back and then some, back to the downside.
Yeah, boo. I mean, I know lots of people still use it. I just feel like the competition there is There's just so much competition, whether you've got Apple or maybe you've got YouTube Music or Amazon Music. Like, it just, I don't know. Like, I find myself not as big a fan of this one. And if there weren't other things setting up, this feels like it's starting into a short. This is the break, downward trend and break of the 200-period moving average on Spotify. I worry about the competition. I mean, that one's setting up. But lots of names are breaking trend today. We're going to look at a bunch. Right off the open, the first place I'm going to look is Palantir because I'm eyeballing that Lumen. Palantir didn't have a sell and bounce that I could see. But as we drop the count on Palantir morning and AMD afternoon, don't forget we get AMD after the bell. The market is down. We'll see what the first move is in 2 and 1. Let's go.
Palantir was just up at 192. AMD here at 250 and change, trying to figure that one out right now as there it goes, breaking through 250. I don't want to get excited too fast here. Let's just let these things settle down just a little bit. There goes Palantir, was up at 192. Then now the short is coming in pretty aggressively there, just down $2 right away, bouncing once again off pre-market lows of 189, right back up to 192. Trade this very cautiously if you are exactly, that's $3 straight. Bye-bye Palantir, it's $3 to the upside. As that continues to go, we still watch out for Tesla and AMD. AMD is still breaking lower. Tesla getting cranked right now as well. This is just a lot of fluff right now coming out of the market, I feel like. So you could get, if the market wants to rally, now's the chance. We just made good bottoms in many names. So whether or not they hold or not, I don't know. But
Bitcoin just bounced off that 103.5. So it's a double bottom down here. This is IBIT, obviously, by the way. But we bounced off 103.5 on Bitcoin. That'll correspond with this low. So this is the thing. Didn't want to short anything at the absolute lows of the day. Looks like Intel's not going to pop.
Is gone.
Oh, Intel broke 38, but it's actually, there's a bit of a battle. Actually might be battling this 38 level. So some of the chip names are catching a bit of a bid here, at least from what I could tell. Nvidia also bouncing off of the lows here. I saw Palantir head back to the upside. So the first thought was, okay, well, maybe if Palantir is bouncing, I'm not going to short Lumen if Palantir is going up. The whole idea is if Palantir continue down, I wanted to fade this. So I have my eyeballs on Palantir. If I see that break down, I'm going to try to fade this LUMN. Not in anything just yet. As always, let us know any names that you are interested in. Just throw them in the chat, but hit that $sign. Make sure you type $sign in front so we know what you are interested in. Ooh, I just saw someone type in Rigetti.
Ooh.
You know those stocks. If the market doesn't hold some of this bounce, those are the exact kind of names that are in the most trouble.
Yeah, get ready to bounce. We're going to wait to see if there is a bounce. I'm going to try to short some AMD. Well, AMD is getting close right now off that 250. Maybe, okay, I'll just take a small piece right now. I'm waiting for a little bit more into 250.
Bitcoin broke.
Yeah, Bitcoin downside. Yeah, there goes AMD right now. So, hey, man, wow, that was an easy dollar club. All right, well, let's wait to see. We only got out of a piece right there, but that was a good short there on AMD. So right now we're short AMD 249.50s. It's at 248.50s. Down goes AMD right now. But hey, man, it's just early days. We're not ringing registers yet. I mean, this could go against us. Let's just try to build a position here on AMD and see what winds up happening. All y'all haters on Palantir right now, with good reason. I mean, still down 7%. Let's just wait to see. I mean, if you're going to short it, I think you're getting ready right now. You're probably in position as you are at the pre-market highs. I can't say I hate that trade. That new high wick there of 194, that could be your out. So boy, do we like that trade right now if you are short on PLTR. But looky what we've got right here. There's a big trade alert right now. You guys, we talked about it yesterday. We put on some damage on the board, and there it is right now again, Neil. Now another $1.50 right there on AMD. I mean, thanks for coming back, guys, every day. I mean, it means a lot to us here, and hopefully we're able to put these winners on for you daily, and that's what we're trying to do. I'm trying my best to do that, and there it goes now, $1.50 back downside there for Advanced Micro Devices. The #1 trade idea. I talked about it when we had Mitch, talked about it when we first sat down. There goes AMD to the downside, and there we go. We got it on, so it's a good trade so far on Advanced Micro Devices.
That's what it's all about, and short as well here. The Nasdaq at the low of the day, Bitcoin at 10. It just broke 103.5 again, so let's see if it actually bounces off the low. I'm trying to get Lumen as well. Remember, Palantir was actually up. Palantir breaking the low of the day. I'm sitting there trying to short Lumen. That's not SSR. Why can't I hit the bid? It's not SSR.
Lumen?
No, it's not. Oh, there we go. I just got filled. So this Palantir breaking the low of the day. I got Lumen pretty much at the volume weighted average price, but whoa, that's a heavy candle on Bitcoin. And when you zoom out, I'm doing this so you guys can see. You're like, well, load a little bit further. You've got about 37.5. Go back. Right back, it's like the 25th, or sorry, the 20th, I believe. That's a key level on Bitcoin. It's trying to bounce this 103 level as we speak, but heavy selling here. As the Nasdaq is trying to bounce off those. We got a super chat. Ooh. I believe it was asking about can we go 2% on the Nasdaq today. I think it was Donnie Zimbabwe. The answer is yes, but I think you take your cue from Palantir. Palantir's approaching SSR. If Palantir's able to bounce, it's exactly the kind of thing that could cause the market to bounce. It's not the biggest name in the index, but it is kind of the canary in the coal mine in this particular situation. So that's what I'd be keyed on. But absolutely, we're 1.5% down on the Nasdaq. I think we could easily get to. Oh, I believe you said 2.25. But I mean, that's not that much of a difference.
All right, right now, you know, the strong name that maybe no one was thinking about is Meta. Meta's ripping right there back to the upside. So I think that's a great sign for market strength because they're in there buying, you know, names that have been beat up that they potentially think are down too far. And so that Meta would qualify as that, and there it goes. Right now, huge move to the upside for Meta, 628 up to 635. You'll get your 622.
Oh, I know, I'm just joking. But yeah, I'm going to buy multiple times on that one on the way down.
Right back in, right there for that name. So
this is day one.
Of what?
No, this is, if you think about it, right, like, this is the first day we've come in where, like, obviously, like, we've had stocks that have reported that have been, you know, that have sold off a little bit. But this is kind of the first day where, like, it was like across the board, everything was down, and you had really people talking more productively about this being a top. So I kind of feel like it's a little bit early on in the move. By the way, that 37.5 here jumped up bigly on, that's not a word, jumped up and caught a bid at $37.5. Lumen, on the other hand, so I see that, I'm jumping out. And Lumen, on the other hand, is back at the low of the day. I'm eyeballing. Palantir is pretty much at, I think it wicked 10%. I didn't get a good enough look, but I'm pretty sure it actually just hit SSR. Now, yeah. And it bounced a little bit. It's at 9.96. See, there it is. It's SSR now on Palantir. So Palantir is now down 10%. We're at the bounce here. Lumen's exactly at the low of the day. So if I see this start trending back into VWAP, this will be a pretty quick scalp trade from like 1080 from $11 to 1080. Don't want Palantir zooming back up here on some kind of an SSR bounce and getting trapped in what I think is a sympathy name.
All right, so we're short AMD. I mean, whether or not this is going to work out, I mean, we're at these levels here, so let's put some bids out and see if we can get something out just to absorb this, because that just ripped into 251. I was, you know, again, I don't want to get too caught up in all the euphoria here, because we had written down here 254, 253. For AMD. So the fact that we're finally starting to crack a little bit higher now on advanced micro devices might be something. So let's be patient with this trade, see if we can work this to the downside. But see, like, it bounces so quick every time here in advanced micro devices. So I'm going to be getting out of this one for about $1. If we can go the other way and get hit on this name, take $1 out of it. That's about it for me. I'm not going to sit here during this market rally potentially if it does get going again.
Apple's breaking out.
And sit, that's what I'm saying. Apple's breaking. Okay, here we go. Well, there we go. So we just got, like, I just got 08s and some in the 90s there of AMD, and then it just bumped up again another 50 cents. I feel like I'm going to get stopped out of this trade at some point here, as AMD seems to be pretty strong. It gets bought up on all these dips. So maybe the theory of trading this name day of earnings maybe isn't exactly the right play. So let's be careful with what we're doing here on advanced micro devices. And of course, earnings are tonight on this name. So all right, yeah, we're here and we're trading. So far so good. We just have this one position on, and that's AMD as Palantir trying to find its ways. Remember, break of 251 and we're out of advanced micro devices. A couple pennies higher than that is what I'm looking at, because this trajectory right now is straight upside. So more outs there at 250, but we are going to get stopped out pretty soon on a 251 break. That's what I'm doing here on AMD, and I know that you were on Intel. Intel's another name.
It's bouncing, but it's not a VWAP.
Yeah, I like this name short as well. But see, this name is not bouncing nearly as much. There goes AMD. So AMD does take out the top there. We get out to 75% of the trade because, again, sitting in this one while it just keeps on getting higher is not worth it. We'll wait to see if we can short some of the levels that we had written down here for advanced micro devices.
I actually just tried to reload Intel, but the selling is actually heavier on this for some reason. Like, well, I guess it's Intel. But 37.9, it came back in. I was sitting at 38.10 to get more, but I saw this topping tail wick. I'm like, let's get it short through 37.9, and we're right back at lows. I'm gonna leave my order in. I do want to short the pop there. I looked over, and Palantir did end up holding the bottom, so I took another leg out there of Lumen. I'll reload that one at VWAP as we go to the death.
Yeah.
With Adara.
Pfizer on the move, actually sharply to the upside. As we get commentary here, prepared commentary, it looks like during its earnings call from CEO Albert Bourla saying that the company is working on cost management across their manufacturing network, saying it's going to be a top priority, and also talking once again about their interest in acquiring Metsera. Now, in case you missed it, we had Pfizer place a bid on Metsera, then Novo Nordisk have a bid that Metsera actually deemed as the preferable offer for the company. Pfizer's had some issues with that, but Albert Bourla is still saying that Pfizer's belief and promise of the Pfizer and Metsera combination is, quote, strong and unwavering. So be aware here, PFE looks like the earnings call is happening, and traders seem to be enjoying it right now. No economic data at 9:45 or 10 a.m., guys. Back to you.
See, what's Lululemon doing?
They've just been in Pfizer, I guess. The market is really coming back up.
Oh, but Lulu's not going. Oh, so they like one of Michael Burry's buys, but they don't like the other, huh? That's what it's all about?
Pfizer kind of makes sense.
No, I understand. Yeah, I totally get the whole, trying to pick a bottom. But I was just literally saying to Sean, like, the whole thing about Michael Burry with the big short was all about the fact that he saw something that other people weren't seeing. But if everybody's calling Palantir in the AI bubble a bubble, then he's not really saying that, is he? And then, of course, he had a cryptic tweet the other day. I think it was on the weekend, actually. Well, no, but he basically was talking about top-ish signals, but the best action is to do nothing. And then 2 days later, you go short. So, like, that's what, because I actually thought, I was like, oh, I really respect that. Because it takes a lot of discipline to say, you know what? All of this looks like a top, but sometimes you just got to sit on your hands because it's not being rational. But I guess he didn't sit on his hands for too long. Here comes 190 on Palantir. Ooh. Yeah, I'm going to cancel my reload. That's my rule. If we come back in on Palantir and we get to VWAP and roll over, I'm going to reload Lumen. If we get up there and do not, I'll stay on Palantir for you guys, and do not, then I don't reload it. I just feel as if, like, this is down 7, Palantir's down 9. If Palantir makes some fresh lows, I think this can go even further. I did get the reload on Intel, however, and given this bottoming tail candle in the futures.
Yeah, these want to go up.
Yeah.
I think.
Look at the Nasdaq here. Bottoming tail. If we take out 25.8, this could really fly. The good news that I think here is it's still a lower high on Intel. Market making higher highs, at least in a very, very short time frame here, but you're still making lower highs technically on Intel, so it's relatively weak. Tesla's also at VWAP. Palantir's almost at VWAP, so we're at a pretty big decision point, I think, for the market. Yeah, that's for sure. I'm trying one more time here on some sort of a short for advanced micro devices against 253. I mean, ultimately it'd be 255. Oops, that's still Palantir as we watch that. Ultimately, the short hasn't worked, but we're still alive, and okay, now like 253 was a level that we had talked about, and when it breaks, which it just did, then we'll just get out. So the shorts paid off early a little bit there. We just lost here, but I think we want to get back in. But look at the market now. The market is back huge right now, back up to the upside. So a lot of love right now in the Nasdaq. But who would have thought that was coming through there today? Nvidia, great buy off 2 bills. It's funny because AMD is the one that's really extending out there, so we were wrong going short on that. But there's Nvidia right now. Make sure you guys do hit the like and the subscribe. Nvidia back up to 203 and potentially right now near that pre-market high. Palantir did make a move higher. Oh, we can look at Uber right here as well, down to $90. So they're not really getting that bump that some of these other names are starting to get right here. So Uber still down 8%. Maybe this is a good short up near VWAP if we can get near 92 and change. But it's Palantir again off of 190 again.
So, the levels are lining up here for a short in PLTR. Are you brave enough to take it, I guess, is really the question. So we'll have to wait to see if Palantir does break through that 190 or if it decides to hold. So right now, that's what's going on there. Shopify was another look. We can check out what's happening in gold. Again, okay, so they're also going to the downside. Crypto's trying to hold.
Bitcoin's trying to.
Yeah, I was going to have a look at IBIT there to see, but.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think it was probably the right decision, just eyeballing that Palantir to get out of Lumen. Once it broke the volume weighted average price, kind of doubled out at the low of the day. That's how you will stay up. I think it was the decision to get more shares out at the bottom. But this market is absolutely recovering, and I got to watch Palantir at this level. It's at VWAP, right underneath the prior support level. Remember, this is short sell restricted. It's SSR. So if it gets going, it's a little bit more difficult for shorts to hit the bid. Doesn't mean they can't do it, but this can fly a little bit faster than a normal day. So you've got to be careful with it. Also reloaded Intel, but that's gonna break out that top as well. So we're able to get the low on a couple of names, but it's almost like shouldn't have even bothered with the reload. If this breaks a 10, I'm jumping out of this thing. It's right here, right now. So not really going to give this one too much room. It needs to roll over. Like if you're at a key point, it needs to roll over from here to confirm that this can actually be a short. And credit to everyone that loves some Apple out there. I see it in the chat. I saw a couple of people talking about it. The best thing about Apple, and it's now green on the session, is it's not like they were big in AI anyways. So even if it's the top of the AI bubble, then they're the smallest participant in the AI bubble out of the Mag 7. Like, yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of an easy thing to say, obviously. But Apple has gone green. Obviously, you showed Meta, which is powering to the upside. Out of the top names that I see on the list, that's pretty much it. I mean, Meta, Palantir, Nvidia, that's what you guys want to talk about. Some AMD, of course, as well after the bell. I just reminded myself that Amazon's a bit of a play.
Want to do Palantir?
Oh, look at Amazon, too. Look at these bad boys all bounce. They like it. They're buying it off the open, but we only have one 15-minute candle in, and it hasn't broken the top. So I'm not giving up the notion of short just yet. I'll stick with Intel because right now it seems relatively weaker than the others, but the other play for me is going to be Lumen or Palantir, kind of off of this volume-weighted average price. It just feels, for some reason, it feels a little safer on Lumen because it already made a high yesterday, and then working off of that Palantir sympathy.
All right, we're right now, I'm just going to go and short the Qs, man. Let's try to see what this market has in store for us here. I mean, it was a nice little move higher right there for the TQs, almost got into the 200 period moving average. We had wicked up sort of near this 114. I feel like, we can use that 200 period, 114.20, as potentially our out. So that would be something to look at. Not yet, right? No, not yet, Andre. Okay. So here it comes. Nice little play a little bit here for the Nasdaq on this downside push. So instead of battling with AMD over and over again, let's just sit here and short something that's a little bit more, I don't know, not susceptible to single stock risk as we short the Nasdaq right now, because AMD has continued to go higher into 254, which is sort of the levels
that's 54.
that we had talked about here for advanced micro devices. So we could get involved maybe in a short now on this play finally for once. All right, there goes AMD not AMD. There goes the TQs as we continue to go lower finally right now. Starbucks, I'm hearing in my ear, is going a little bit lower as well right now. But there's the TQs. Huge trade alert right there. Finally, we'll give some props up for that one, as there we go, downside right now into the TQQs. So we're making a little bit of money back there, and we do short AMD again finally, as that is finally picking up a little bit of steam here to the downside. So let's bid some 09s. We just made the level, and of course it bounced off of us, so there it comes, now coming back in. So a little bit of top-heavy action. All we needed to do was stick to our plan with AMD and not get so excited early, but of course we don't do that. All right, there it is now. It is TQQ to the downside. And on a day like today, it is very important that sophisticated traders look to Beta Pro, because right now they do have the largest provider of levered, inverse, and inverse levered ETFs. They just launched 6 new triple levered ETFs offering 3 times bull and 3 times bear exposure to the S&P TSX 60, semiconductors, and U.S. Treasuries. And right now they are offering a special fee rebate into the month of December. December 31st, it stops. It's 65 basis points management fee. Play this U.S. focused strategy using currency hedging, offering the potential for pure performance and exposure. If you're tactical, take a look at this one. Scan that QR code. It's Beta Pro Global X. We want to thank them for sponsoring. So the market, as I was saying that, just came all the way back up again. So we'll short that one more time and see if it can work. It's TQs and it's AMD right now that are starting to rip higher as the market just says no and continues its strength into the high side here. So yeah, big time market moving day. A little oppo of what I thought. So let's wait to see what we can do now with the TQs and AMD as we're both near highs of the day.
Yeah, at least for now, Palantir is still holding under VWAP. Intel did manage to get back down almost to the low of the day there, but got to respect the fact that's going to be a higher low. So these are actually consecutive higher lows on the 3-minute chart. So reload a third time only if you get a really, really good price. And that'll have to be pretty much at 38 or a little bit above. The market is about to take out that top. That's just what's happening. Palantir is, oddly enough, not the reason why this is happening. That's a little surprising. I thought if we were going to break out the top, it'd be because Palantir did a bounce off that 10% level, but it's still kind of holding underneath that 190 in VWAP and that prior support. So really, it kind of feels like this one might still be a short. Crazy enough to say, as the market is blowing out here. I'd prefer like an Apple or something like that to Palantir. Bitcoin. Look, I like the short in Bitcoin. I'm trying to be very patient about this because it's bounced off that 103.5. It hasn't even gotten to the pre-market high. It hasn't gotten anywhere near the prior lows, which is like 59.7. So there's a lot of room for this one to actually set up, but it's a couple of down candles, and then we've just been rallying like crazy going upside. So until this sets up, I'm not going to jump into it. Lumen seems like it's okay because Palantir's not breaking out, but that's just like a not yet kind of thing. At this point, the market is still trying to make its next move. If we break out the top, probably a good place to get out of some of these shorts. If they don't already stop out, none of them have yet. And if we fail this high, then I think it can be a chance to add on the way back in. Because right now it feels like the front side of the short, not the back side.
Yeah, right now, oh man, yeah, the short is not right here as we continue to be short, especially in these TQs, as we're getting very, very close now to punching out of this trade at 114.20. So looks like we'll be short the market here. Like, who was long the market there today? Like, wow, all the way to the upside as many traders there. We had Mitch talking about this is a time to go short, and you can see right now, yeah, that is getting absolutely destroyed. So I hope he didn't go short either, as right now the market just continues to break higher through some of these highs. I still want to catch the short at some point, which is why we're trying it and then getting stopped out for 20 or 30 pennies. But look at this, man. The market just continues to extend gains one more time, man, all the way back up there to the upside. So there she goes. There goes AMD through our 255 level finally right now, breaking that recent high. This was where we thought the trade could eventually stop, but that's not what's happening as it just continues to go, go, go. Oh man, like AMD was down 4%. Now you're only down 2% and really, really getting going now. TQ's also back to the upside. Remember, we were like, oh, it's not that bad. We're still above 25,000. Well, now you're almost at 26,000 right now, as that was not well received, all that dump. And remember, we had a huge sell-off in the futures early, not huge, but we had a little bit of a move down, and we had that wipeout because all those imbalances were to the sell side. So let's not forget too much about that either, right? The sell side imbalances that were in place there. That might have triggered, obviously a nice move to the downside, and then this whoosh now that's come right back up. We had marked down here on the TQs 116. We're nowhere near that right now. But again, I was shorting this 200 period moving average, and that broke. So right there on the futures, now we're starting to really extend through. I still don't mind like if we could break back down below this area to maybe go short, but for right now, yeah, man, shorts getting barbecued up a little bit here so far today, including myself. So there it goes. We could go back to, okay, your shorts are still okay. Intel maybe, well, Intel's going higher too.
Two things are happening right now.
Yeah, they're all going.
No, they're all going. Like the market already broke out. Like these were faring better a second ago, but relative to the market, but they're going to break out. Palantir's at VWAP, and we're pretty much right at the high on Lumen. It's not the pre-market high, but it's this 11.15 area is going to be that top. My stop is in. I'm not gonna add again. We'll let it go. And then Intel as well. The third time was not a charm. At least we're in at a better price a third time, so we'll say green on it. Like I was kind of keen on this one being the weakest, and kind of felt like this was going to go. But for now, it's still under VWAP technically. But I see the market breaking out. We're just going to get out of Dodge and try to wait for a better entry. If there's going to be short still, then we have to be very, very patient with it, because you don't want to get caught in a wipeout bottom here. Bitcoin was the other name. The only thing that I didn't trade that I plan to so far is Bitcoin. And thankfully, we stayed away from this. It just never really set up. So I'll be out of Intel. Did better on that one than on Lumen, because at least I got the bottom on Intel. But this is a flat morning for me for now. And I'm flat. So now we can kind of reassess. I didn't really have long ideas. My gut reaction would be, like, the first place I was thinking, okay, well, if we're going to catch a bounce, the safest name would be Apple. And I look, and as the market's breaking out, Apple just pulled back. So it just pulled back into the volume-weighted average price. It seems like this one is relatively strong. Let's see it close above VWAP before making that decision. I can add that one to my list. But I just want to see if there's going to be a trend break now. We did this yesterday, where you have your opening trades, and then a trend starts to set up. And if I'm not in anything, then I'll look to revert that trend. And the first place I'll look is one of the names that I already traded. So remember, hit that like and subscribe, everybody, because I see that 21.4% of you are not subscribed. That means 21.4% of you can't put names in the chat or discuss with our community. 21.4% of you are missing out. It's just that simple. You could also be getting Shreef's Note every single day by getting a membership as well. So shout out to Shreef for doing that. Yeah. But the name that's top of this list, it's not Palantir. It's not Nvidia. It's not AMD. Hertz is on here. What? Really? People like Hertz. It's Meta. Ooh. It's actually Meta.
Yeah. Meta's
I find myself very surprised that Hertz is on any list that anybody cares about. But shout out to anyone who likes Hertz. Meta just went green. It is bouncing solidly right off of that 620 level. Yeah, when I joke, I will get my stink bid at 622.20, and then I think I'll still even get a lower bid as well. I'm going to put another one in once I get that one. $5 from Kevin GTS. Congrats on all the Meta dip buyers. If this continues back up, it was scary, I admit, but we held strong.
Well, how much is Meta up here?
0.3. Well, I mean, it's red to green, right? So
yeah, 625 was a great. I mean, all the way up
from the low,
640 right now.
Yeah, $15, so a couple points.
Things are just breaking out like crazy right now again here today. So yeah, I mean, congratulations to everybody that dip bought anything. I mean, just whatever you did. I mean, we have some people in the chat there that were talking about futures, and they were able to go both ways on it, getting the short, then getting the long, as it just ripping right now, like uncontrollably right here to the upside. So we'll have a look to see potentially, like, what is creating all this sort of euphoria. Do we have to go? Are we going over to Adara, Andre? No, soon. Okay, pretty soon.
The market is stronger than Jacoby Brissett's game.
Yeah, and finally we get some life from Marvin Harrison.
Well, because you'd have to be. In order to beat the Dallas Cowboys, like, you have to be an unbelievably talented quarterback.
2-5 or something. What is the?
Well, she's not even here. That was pointless.
Yeah, she probably didn't even watch it. What is the? What was the final score there?
I'm not going to cop to having watched the game.
I stopped.
I saw Brissett's line. I'm not watching the Dallas Cowboys on Monday night.
No, it just shows you how crappy Kyler Murray is. Like, that guy's been given the reins now for 6 or 7 years. In Arizona, I don't even think he's made the playoffs, or maybe. All right, so we finally get up to levels here on AMD where we're going to try again. We're red on this name, like big time red on this. Doesn't mean we can't make it back, but for right now, we're going to have to just see if this futures want to finally get themselves to a top and maybe relax just a little bit up here. Again, like, shorting it has been disastrous. It's not even 10 o'clock yet. So I think we still have a little bit of time.
More or less 10 o'clock.
To go, and then, we'll be able to regroup ourselves just a little bit. Tesla, upside, as all names are, but basically all names got into the 200 period moving average. So if you're looking to go short, that's kind of what I'd be thinking in around there. And then now we can use the most recent highs as our stops, because the market's just got euphoric and now it's pulled back a little bit. Obviously, Nvidia is going to continue to work if the long works. A stock that I really like that Probably should have bought here today, and I'm still in the 150 area for this. I think it was 157, 158 is my bid, is Alibaba. I mean, I like this name, and we're bidding down here because that's where past support has been, also near the 50-period moving average. A name that I'm in, but not overly heavy on, is Alibaba. So we want to get longer in that name if we can. That's just a thought that I have there about Alibaba and what kind of investments I'm looking to make in this most recent bull run. Or bear run, but you know, bullish for many of the names. And Alibaba's had a monster move up to 190, pulled back, was unable to get long there, and now we're going to think about it one more time. As of course, it's not an all clear for China or anything like that, but at least there's, you know, some talk there about a deal. And then as we potentially limit the chips that can go over into China, you know, Alibaba could catch some of that as well, as they've been developing chips as well as their Quen model and things like that with their AI. But FXI there's the Chinese ETF straight upside today as well. So you're not going to catch any Alibaba as long as that keeps on going. Can I trade BTC for you guys? Yeah, I could, and maybe I should. I mean, I've always looked at IBIT, man, and it's just today, obviously with this most recent move higher there, I'm still negative on everything. So I'm not like ready to, you know, get more IBIT or more, you know, Bitcoin into the account yet. I like to see what it does at 100, but this isn't a horrible level, 59.50. It's just, you got to think about which way do we really think this market is going, right? And if it is going back to the downside, then yeah, I don't really want to look at IBIT right now for any kind of a long. So yeah, IBIT, great call. We have lots of traders. We all look at it. So if that,
I just actually went short at the pre-market.
There he is. So there you go. So Neil's short into IBIT right now. So yeah, we're all over it.
Yeah, I waited for 2 levels for myself. Like if I'm going to wait for it to get to a key price and start to slow up, it goes right to the pre-market high, makes a topping wick. Not a crazy topping tail candle. Probably should have only gone once, not twice. But the stop is pretty tight, respectively. Like if it breaks out the high, just jump out of it. I also reloaded Intel. Well, I mean, Intel's like the only thing that isn't breaking VWAP that I'm watching right now. Everything else on my board has broken the volume weighted average price to the upside. Intel's still underneath, so that one seems like a bit of a short. And Hertz, by the way, I was joking about it, surprised that it was on the board, but shouldn't be. Like Hertz has a decent short float, and they did beat top and bottom. They reported. That's the reason for this 34% move to the upside. And you know it's a strong day. We're going to Adara, but you know it's a strong day when even Beyond Meat is up. Oh. Of course, they caught the day that I didn't pay for locates, a problem I will rectify as we go to Adara.
Just as we did this throw, I actually saw a catalyst too, probably pretty small, but keep an eye potentially in Meta and Apple. Meta announcing the launch of WhatsApp for Apple Watch. Now, this feature will allow users to send and receive messages via the Apple Watch. So again, WhatsApp for Apple Watch coming from META. Let's take a look at this market. Really nice push back to the upside. There was this gap down here, some concerns surrounding, surrounding some reports of a filing suggesting that Michael Burry, of course, of Scion Asset Management, and also the individual who was famously shorting the housing market, there were some suggestions here that he took bets against Palantir and Nvidia. Now, he seemed to deny this in a fairly cryptic X post, but kind of still up for question as to what exactly he was trying to communicate with that post. Either way here, it is worth noting that there were these concerns here about bearishness in the AI space. Right now, though, the market doesn't seem too worried, pushing back and already trying to reclaim a lot of that move. Now, it's interesting because these alleged puts here in Palantir from Burry come at the same time as Palantir reports earnings. Now, they did beat here for Q3, double beat, raising their fiscal 2025 guidance. Q4 sales were also, I guess, their beat there in terms of their guidance. But the other thing we have to remember with PLTR is what they're guiding in terms of a percentage growth metric is a little bit lower for their sales than what they reported this quarter. So that's certainly worth noting here for PLTR. Shopify SHOP, on the contrary, trading really nicely here to the upside, though they did initially gap down. Inline EPS sales beat and Q4 sales guiding above expectations. TSLA also going to be on watch here. We know that on November 6th, though on Thursday, they're going to be having that shareholder vote on the pay package. Well, Norway Sovereign Wealth Fund, a major Tesla shareholder, came out and said they've actually already cast their vote against Elon Musk's $1 trillion pay package. So certainly something to be aware of here for TSLA. Before we send you back to Sean and Neil, we'll take a moment to thank our friends at Origenics. Each year, 3.8 million concussions are reported in the U.S. but there is still no FDA-approved treatment. NYSE-listed Oragenics, OGEN, is changing that with its first in-class intranasal drug designed for rapid brain access. With the concussion treatment market projected to reach $8.9 billion by 2027, Oragenics is uniquely positioned to lead the way. Learn more and schedule a meeting today. Oragenics on the NYSE. Back to Neil and Sean. Make sure to like and subscribe, guys.
Thank you very much, Adair. And it remains to me that Intel is the only one that is actually working because we broke the top there just now on IBIT right here. Lumen, I'm trying to get back into Lumen, but I think I might have missed a turn there. I'll get to that in a second. Intel holds underneath VWAP. So like, again, the only stock that I'm looking at that is holding underneath the volume weighted average price and holding underneath resistance for now is Intel, but it's still putting in higher lows. So when the bid stepped up here in front of 80, kind of took a couple of legs out. This time I got a better price as we're short a little bit tighter to the volume weighted average price. But if this gets to the low of the day, I will take some more shares out. Lumen is, now it's breaking trend. So I've had 3 shorts, well, 2 shorts in Lumen, kind of double that one, probably didn't need to. This is breaking back under the volume weighted average price. Down 7% on Lumen. Really, there was no particular story on Lumen that I noticed. I mean, it was sympathy to Palantir to the downside. And Palantir is right at 194 and the highs, pre-market highs. Wow. I mean, not really. Like, if you just go back to 6 o'clock, right? We start our charts at 6 o'clock. So it's like the 6 a.m. high, which also ended up being the opening range high. So I respect it and trying to turn around. That's another reason I was trying to get Lumen when I saw Palantir get there. But Lumen, I'm going to get back into this short. If it holds under VWAP and Palantir isn't going ham to the upside, then to me, this is a short. Yeah, that resistance, that prior day high is still pretty good there. I feel like there's so much potential for this to go down. If the market keeps going up and this loses it, I could see 10% down on Lumen, just given where it's come from before. Like, you look at the last few sessions, like, why couldn't it at least get down to this prior high at 1030?
Yeah, no, I like that call on Lumen there for sure. But I mean, you know, you can just trade the Palantirs of the world, obviously, and the AMDs and all these kind of stocks that just continue to move, especially Tesla. Almost got to 460 right there again. I'm gonna trying to let this die down a little bit here and see if we can get a move back in for AMD. We just reloaded the short again, and now it's finally starting to make a little bit of a lower move now, finally, for advanced micro devices. So I'm waiting at 254.81s. Oh no, I'm at 81, believe it or not. I put this there 20 minutes ago to try to make that play. Hopefully it comes in. There it is. Okay, good. Yes, sir. Finally, man, the weed Batman. I don't know why we hit that, but there it is. Nice downside play here for advanced micro devices. We finally start to crack a little bit lower on that one. If you guys are ever interested in, you know, a possible move back for names, I mean, we talked about what's been so strong in Meta. Look at Google, look at Amazon, names that also came out with, I mean, Meta did not come out with, well, their quarter was fine, but not received very well. It's still going upside right here for Google as that continues to be at days high. So that was another name that I discussed in possibly buying dips and whatnot. I'm going to get out some more AMD as that's really making it back in right now for us. So that's going to be a good one. And then the other name, of course, was Amazon. Right now, we're now $1.70 in the money on AMD. Amazon was another name that, I mean, Joe's not here, but when I was walking in with him today, I'm like, if this market continues to go lower, a name that we need to be looking at is Amazon. And I think that that was a no-brainer. We had that deal yesterday, and there goes Amazon as if it doesn't even happen today. The Nasdaq right now is 0.9, by the way. We are really cranking lower on AMD. We just took out some, we got 30s there. We got 25s and 30s on this trade here for advanced micro devices. So way to sit there near the top and make a little bit of this day back. So there it goes back down there to the downside. BYND and all that. Can we check out, I don't know what turn is.
Turn down for what?
But we can get turned on it. Turns Pharmaceutical right now. Attention Adara. This is more for Adara. What do we got on Turn right now? Because this is called Turns Pharmaceutical, and it is a nice move higher right there. And no surprise, you know, probably some clinical study there. It looks like it's a day 2 play. Yesterday, $14, up to $17, just extending through higher and higher and higher. We like this name. Turns today, if you are looking for a name a little bit outside of the norm. Let me see what the short flow is, probably huge. Yeah, 11, 12% there, float of 87 million. So there are some common shares available here for TERN. Nice move to the high side of Dara. We'll find the story on that for you. But thank you again for the super chat. Yeah, we did good to get out of some AMD there. Let's see if it gets a little lower.
And the market's trying to get lower as well. But look, the reality is, I don't like. Okay, fine. Like some things are working. Intel just got to the low of the day, but when I look at the Qs, that's a pretty strong open. And if you dip and we pull back, you're looking at like these overnight, like the 130 top here at 25.8. If you bounce off that, well, guess what that is? That's higher lows and higher highs. So as we come back in at 25.8 here on the Nasdaq and on the ES, okay, if you're watching the ES, it's like 68.25, whichever one you watch. Prior resistance turning into support, that is an obvious place to start thinking about if you haven't taken profit out. Intel's fine because that's at the low of the day and it's relatively weak. Beyond Meat should not care what's going on with the market. I was just shorting out that off the 150. I'm now short again at $11 on Lumen. I'm going to give it right back up to the volume weighted average price. But if you're looking at some like a name like an Nvidia, whoops, got to go NQ here. If you're looking at a name like an Nvidia, as it's pulling back into its support levels, keep an eye on those Qs. If they bounce that higher low, you could really start to see these confirm this bottom that we've made. Like Nvidia is almost a perfect example. 202 right across the bottom. Liquidity grab, and now you could bounce above it. So as we started to come in here, I have my eyeballs to see if we put in that higher low. And if we do, I got to start thinking about where I actually like a long, because I don't have any long ideas right now. And I want to find something in case that happens that isn't just, well, I like Apple kind of. And it happens to be at VWAP. It's really the only thing that's halfway sticking out to me right now, to be honest with you. And it's not even that strong. It's actually red on the day. Going to keep hunting for something that might be a long if the futures make that bounce.
Okay. We're now pretty huge now, over $2 in AMD as it's trying to break through. Well, it has to break through 54. And then we'll get that $2 mark. I was going to look like SMR. We had been talking sort of, okay, now we're starting to, I don't have any bids in the 250 area, so I'm going to put something down there in the 80s on AMD. But SMR was a nice move, man. Right to $40 and then bounced off of that. So that was a good short there at a key level of 40. So that would be something, again, if the market does rally. I want to fade all the pop. So I'm not necessarily looking for longs. I'm looking to fade shorts, fade strong names. So which hasn't worked early. We know that, but we're in it now, finally, with advanced micro devices. But right into there, SMR, this little top area here of $40, looking pretty good to me. We can have a look at other nuclear names like Oklo, as that's into 119, 122 there as a top for Oklo. Yeah, Randy's not coming to get coffees. All right, and then there goes Oklo downside, again down 6% for this name. Let's check out some of the quantum names, as I know that that's been on traders' minds here today as we get a little weaker in the quantum space now, down 4.5%. And we worry a little bit that, hey man, things that don't actually make money are a problem. And we talked about Big Bear AI coming on the 10th, so that's going to be a problem for them. Yes, AMD, go, get lower. We need that one to work out for us because we've taken some hits on that one already. But there goes BBAI off the lows, but now it's coming back in. Names like Open Door that continue to work for traders off of key levels. That's $7 would be that level to look at here for Open Door, and that worked today perfectly up to 736. You get a little bit of a gain there in this kind of a name. We looked at Beyond Meat earlier in the day. So now AMD is bouncing a little bit. Well, not really. I'm going to take another bid here on Advanced Micro on AMD. BYND. I wonder if there's going to be that $1 moment again where we finally get into $1 and then we rally from there as traders decide to sort of flip up their opinion here on Beyond Meat now that it's not $8 anymore and it's back down to $1. So I think there's going to be some opportunities there for traders at some point on BYND. And the names like Mara, right, that had gotten beat up. Some of these blockchain names recently have been really taking a slide with Bitcoin, right? And so there goes Mara, high of 23, back into 17. But look at the levels here that we're coming into, right? So this is starting to get into some exciting areas. If you do believe in crypto and in Bitcoin, these levels are pretty nice right into here to start to dip by into some Mara. And again, these guys are miners, but hold a ton of Bitcoin, right? We have over, what is it 6% or 3%? I think it's 6% of Bitcoins are held by these guys right here, MSTR. So, you know, if you do believe in Bitcoin and this rally, or sorry, this move down, potentially creating now some blowout moments in different names, look where MSTR is, right down here at 250. Our charts still don't properly do splits. Adjusted, but right into here, 241 and change downside for MSTR, looking like a potential buy zone there, especially if you do believe in that buy zone of Bitcoin at 104 and change. Look, it's been a nasty ride for many of these names, including Solana, including XRP, including Ethereum. Here's a 24-hour clock, basically, down 3%, 4%. Look at the 7 days, right? Ethereum down 13%. Ripple down, XRP. I know Ripple's the product, XRP the coin. Right there, 12%. Binance, right? What's up, CZ? I thought you got that little thing from Trump there, that pardon. Solana down now 17%, down to 160. Like that is low. That's high was 250. So you're coming back a lot over there. We're not worried about USDC. And then Cardano 54 cents. Like most of these bigger names down 15, 16+% right now on the broader market for crypto. We do have a quick little look on what the indexes are doing and what the sectors are doing right now. And let's just have a quick little look. There's only bright spots right here, the financials today. We do have some healthcare names that are starting to bump up. I like AbbVie. We've talked a little bit about that. Let's hold on a second. We do have a nice little move back up here in advanced micro devices. I will go back over to AbbVie and some of those other names in a minute, but there it is. Nice move back, and we're out of more than half of this trade, so I like it, but it is making a move back right now, and that is advanced micro. So if we can get another short up kind of where we are right now, let's put another offer in. I'm still waiting for 256.10s or so to use that most recent high as our out, so we're gonna give that just a little bit of time here to see if we do blast back up. Let's get short again in the 80s if we're able to here. On AMD, we did make some money back on that one, but for right now, okay, thank you for the coffee. I don't hope you didn't miss much, but the market started to bounce a little bit there. I don't know. I wasn't really watching your positions. Lumen. I did talk about Beyond Meat. That's not doing too much there. Okay, another name that we had focused on was DraftKings, breaking below 30. This one can't find its footing, that's for sure, as that's still now 29.50. Look to get some more love for DraftKings pretty soon. I'd like to see, for me on DraftKings, I want to pull the trigger once I see an upgrade or downgrade. I want to see somebody, the trigger would be the upgrade, but I want to see somebody make some kind of an argument there for why DraftKings needs to go back up, and then I could maybe, sniff that magic salt that they're spreading around, and we'll see if we can dip our toes and buy those magic beans. I guess is a better reference there than that. But yeah, so we do get a little bit of a pullback there in advanced micro devices. And then the last look, just really quickly before I go back to Neil, because he just has a couple positions there. Palantir's not really doing anything. When we started the show, Palantir was down 8-9%. We were talking about it possibly going SSR. I believe it did, because it has an E beside it now. So I think Palantir did go SSR. I don't count this as an SSR bounce, really. Although, I guess, if that's the SSR moment, then that is a bounce, but it's not that dramatic.
It wasn't a typical setup.
Yeah.
The typical setup for an SSR bounce requires look, there was a bottoming tail candle, but I don't think that was
it.
Yeah, it's just, usually you're looking for bigger than that to the downside. Like you got one heavy candle, which on Palantir, $5 is something, it's not huge. I don't know if that's what I would have been looking for. And someone just said Neil hates Intel. I don't hate Intel. It's not about that. We're talking about things that looked better or weaker. And Intel was one that, it broke trend on the daily. Palantir could have done, if Palantir could be up at $230 and the market could have been up 1% today, let's just say, instead of down. But if Intel looked like this, it would have been a short, because this is the uptrend since earnings, and this is the break of that trend here today, which makes it a short. We said this last week if it broke that trend. But like a lot of everything else, it's bouncing another time here. Here it comes into VWAP. I don't know how many times it's going to hold under VWAP. If the market gets to green, obviously at some point it likely drags this with it.
Yeah.
So I'll give it another shot in here if it gets to the volume weighted average price. Every time I take out pretty much all of it, like hold on to a small piece. If we get back up to, it looks like 38.10 for now is a volume weighted average price. It happens to be my price. And we'll see if we get a reload. Beyond Meat didn't really give you 150s.
I actually love Intel because we were able to dip buy that thing.
Well,
down $19, $20. It's now $40.
This is my thing. Like, yeah, like what? Like I don't hate Intel. Here, I'm going to apply Palantir up from this morning. But if you look at Intel underneath 25 bucks, like look at the monthly chart on Intel. Like 25 was the prior low that held for a while, and that was a good bounce play. I played that. That was where I actually got my cover. Well, I got shares called away underneath here, which doesn't look that good at the time. And then I sold more at 40 in front of 50. And then when it came back underneath, 25 to 19 just became the low, and then it broke out. That's a pretty good structure. That said, I could also draw you this trend line from the local high here, and it's because it's not the all-time high. That's back here, and that's lower highs all the way through. So it's rejected that. So to me, it just turned into a short. I don't hate them. Trust me, I don't hate them. I think they have a lot of work to do, but I don't hate them. So I didn't get any 50s on Beyond Meat, like I was saying. I was able to get 47s, but that's not where I wanted the short. And it does matter. Like to me, I'd have 3 or 4 times as much here because the risk is to 52 than I would have at 47. And the difference between 2.5 cents risk and 5 cents risk when VWAP is 7 cents actually matters in that particular case. So Intel might reload, but the market's at the high of the day. If we break out the high, I don't see any reason to add back into this. Just kind of let it fly and be happy that one of the shorts worked here.
Yeah, I mean, and there goes there goes AMD. Like AMD just popped like crazy as the market gets right back up there. I mean, will the market go green today? I mean, what a crazy discussion that would be if that is the case here for the market finally going green. I'm still biased to the short here. I mean, we've been getting run over with that bias, and yeah, not a good one yet. For us here on today's date, as the market right now back up. Oh, I was just saying now, Randy.
My bad. I went.
Yeah, I put it in the chat. That was all good. But thank you, Randy. Now we have double the coffee there. Thank you so much for that one, Randy. Coming in, this guy. They're almost. You should see the behind us, man. These guys are been working like crazy over there to get ready. So we want to thank Randy. For now, I have 2 coffees. I'll see which one's better. But there it is. So we do put.
Well, I put the regular milk in. I don't know.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly what I like. Thank you for that. Yeah, so we did short the market here. Let's see if that wants to work. We're actually been fine on the market short. It's the AMD that's blowing our face off right now. As that just took it out up to, like, wow, that went to 256 and change, and then just woofed all the way back in again for advanced micro devices. I like the 255, 254 short. It looks like that's still playing. Right now to the long side, not the short side. What's up, Adara?
Time to talk about these small caps. We'll start here with BYND. Of course, this one was a recent meme runner. Yesterday, they were down, delaying their earnings report. Now they're actually trading higher today, announcing a team up here, a partnership with Hard Rock Cafe. They're going to be bringing the newest Beyond Burger, I guess, nationwide here to their fans. So nice look there for BYND. Then we have HTZ. This is another one, much like BYND, that does tend to attract a lot of meme-like attention, for lack of better words. Nice move up here for HTZ with their earnings. Q3 EPS beating estimates, sales also above expectations. And last but not least, DEN. And just to address this one, of course, a little bit hard to intraday trade because it's moving like a buyout. And that's because it is a buyout. This company announcing they're going to be acquired for roughly $620 million in an all-cash deal being spearheaded by Tri-Artisan Capital Advisors. It's going to be roughly $6.25 a share. They're trading right now around $6.18. And they also reported earnings that was going to be double miss for DEN. But before we send you back to the guys, we're going to take a moment to thank our friends at Trade the Pool. For too long, trading meant risking your own money or never having enough to start. The fear of losing. That's what kept so many traders on the sidelines. But that is changing. Trade the Pool is transforming how traders access the markets. With its limited risk trading model, traders use funded capital while Trade the Pool absorbs the downside. This allows traders to focus on what truly matters: discipline, consistency, and growth. When you hit the profit target, you keep 70% of the profits. No fear, no barriers, just real opportunity. And that is the revolution of limited risk trading, powered by Trade the Pool. Visit tradethepool.com or scan the QR code now to get 10% off your first evaluation. Back to you.
I'm just going to, thanks, Adara. Yeah, Trade the Pool, we did have Mitch on. I want to thank him for all of that and his guidance this morning on going short everything. But of course, you know, do your own thing. I mean, I've been going short everything as well. So here I am throwing shade on the short because I am short and I know that it has not been a good ride, but some names maybe have been. You got a great name over there, Neil. I mean, it was one of the ones that
SoFi, right?
Literally, yeah, exactly. That I literally had as a marker. I mean, yeah, beginning of the morning, we talked about some names. I want to buy some Samsara on any dips. I want to buy some SoFi. I want to load up into SoFi. Like, I'd almost rather dump my JPM trade and get into SoFi. That's how much I like it. So we're going to wait on some SoFi. But yeah, look at that chart.
Old fintech is, well, not fintech. Old financial names are just, I don't like the credit cards as much anymore. I'll still always hold some of the big banks, but I think, you know, we know what the future is. SoFi in the 50 period, I have a lot of stink bids today that I'm going to be reassessing at lunchtime that I thought were a higher probability of maybe filling in this week. But if we go and hold green, that changes a lot with regards to like names like SoFi and Meta, which whatever, it is what it is. Like, you know, you get out of things to then try to buy them back on dips. And I never got out of SoFi, but I did sell like 20% of it. So I'll be mad at myself if this breaks an all-time high and I don't get anything back in. That's just how it is. This is way too far away from VWAP. I'm trying to tell myself not to short this. Don't short this name, Neil. I'm just speaking to myself out loud. It does not qualify. Like, to me, the kind of things that are working are the names that can't break a resistance level. Like, I will reload Beyond Meat. I will add to Beyond Meat if it fails VWAP. Intel is still trying to hold under VWAP itself. So this counts as a weak name. But the market is entirely too strong at this moment. And I see, look, I keep looking up at the visualizer, and Meta's number 1 still, and Hertz is number 2. So it hurts me to say this, but this is...
Nice.
It actually doesn't hurt me to say this at all. I could care less about Hertz. I just thought the pun was okay. But this is a pretty decent squeeze breakout here on Hertz. Any way you cut it. Like, there's no getting around it. Hertz is definitely on one. I got to double check the actual short float for myself. I do remember it being quite large. Let me just do that. They did report this morning. That's the story. But, I mean, whatever. I don't even read the report. Nothing about this report is why it's up 38%. The 43% short float is why it's up 38% here on Hertz. So I was looking for some kind of an obvious resistance spot where you could sell it, because let's be honest, when it's a squeeze name, a lot of times they're going to revert, especially if the market stays strong. Like, if the market ends up trending up and all these quality names are dip buys and trend longs, then I don't know how much I believe in a squeeze name to hold up all day long when there's better places to put the money. So, you know, my gut reaction is to try to find a spot that this is worth a reversion. I mean, I can, but I can't.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
I'm not long
it's a bull market.
I can believe it because we're a bull market, but then I can't because I don't have any long ideas today. Let's go back to Adara.
Keep an eye here on Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk. These ones just got to pop a couple minutes ago. Endpoints reporting that Lilly and Novo are nearing deals with the White House on obesity drug prices. LLY and NVO, the latter of which reports tomorrow morning, going to be in watch again. Endpoints reporting both companies are nearing a deal with the White House with regards to drug prices, specifically for obesity. Back to you.
Yeah, that's the fear, is like trying to flip long at some point here, because you wonder about where this top exactly is in the market again, because we just took out the top in the Qs again. So there it goes, man. Nice upside take one more time here on the TQQs as we continue to battle all of these names here today. If you're short, you're battling. If you're long, you're laughing. Palantir now back to 195. I mean, this was 195 2 days ago. Oops. My mouse is slow. Right into here. So we were just here, right? And we had that blowout number yesterday all the way up to 220. So that's going to be the outlier up top. But there goes Palantir today, now only down 5%. Like, we should have thought that there was a potential for this move to sort of retrace back in. And the reason why I say that is we did have, it was performing underneath what the expected move was. So we were looking at 10% plus or minus there on Palantir. So the fact that now we're starting to blow upside on that makes a little bit of sense. It didn't, you know, again, the flush is the flush. We saw some big sell imbalances early, and then everything sort of caught a bid almost right away, like at 932, 933. The market really started to bump higher there, and Palantir kind of leading the way, as we do know that this is a big cult stock. The next big sort of cult stock that needs to be talked about, I guess, is a little bit of Tesla, as that's a big name too, and that caught a bid huge in the first 3 minutes, right? 448 all the way to 460, $12 straight to the upside. I think AMD's upside move might even be longer than 12. That's 47 to 57. So yeah, they're about that $10 move right there for Advanced Micro Devices ahead of what is a report tonight for them. So we'll wait to see. This is going to have to break through for me back to the downside here at 256. So if that can break back down below 256, then I think we'll try a bigger short here on Advanced Micro Devices. But let's let some momentum finally hit the name and then go short on here, as we just heard about Eli Lilly from Adara, and that is completely spiking upside. Wow, I mean, good to be involved in this name for sure, as they get a pricing deal now with the White House. There it goes, man. Eli Lilly, hell yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and again, diversification.
There's nothing stopping that thing.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to stop it, other than the fact that I think they need more drugs in the pipeline, and we need to hear some more.
They have the one they need. I think.
Yeah, but there's so much competition now for
the thing about it is they're the best. They have the best, and they have the leadership, and they're also the ones that are big enough to scale right now successfully, which is that those are huge advantages. So when you throw in the fact that what they're going to discover is how much these drugs in reality can lower the cost of healthcare for other health reasons. And so, yeah, they're a bit expensive, but when you realize, oh, but when you're on this and now you're at lower risk of this and you're at lower risk of that, it's just, I think there's a lot more potential there. There is something which is not working back to the upside like you would expect with the market, you know, holding those highs. Uber is still down. They're not buying this one up that crazy. It's off the lows, but it's very barely filling in the gap. Again, it would sound like a broken record, but there was nothing really bad that you could point to in the report. Unfortunately, it sold off like everything else. Holding 7% to the downside is Uber. I'm not saying I would short that one, but just we got to cover everything here. I'm now looking at, we talked about the range that AMD has held the last couple of days or the last few days going into earnings. Well, you're pressing almost into that high. So if we get into, it's about 58 to 60. I think I said in my note 59 to 60, but really anywhere near that top couple of dollars, that's the place I want to look for a mean reversion on AMD. If it couldn't break out the entire time the market was strong, then I find it hard to believe that it'll actually break out that top. Huge reversal wick off the 250 level for AMD, so it's going to have to do some kind of a big trend break. And right now, the only setup you have for a trend break is not really, like this would be the loose trend here at 55. I'd rather see it press up into 60. To me, shorting this break is like a B trade, where if it does a topping tail or a reversal at 60, that would be more like an A trade up there. So that's going to be my approach to AMD. Nothing really changed with Beyond Meat and Intel. But the other thing that's going crazy, well, I mean, we already talked about Palantir, but you know, Palantir, this is nothing parabolic about this move. Like, this is not ripping the face off of shorts. It is actually just steady, almost programmed 45-degree angle buying. Like, it's like you draw a line of bet. The reason I'm saying this is, to me, when I look at a chart, if it's got like a line of best fit that's like 45 degrees, that just tells me that it's very controlled and normal buying and nothing crazy about it. And it's hard to short names that have that. Like, I want it to be, if you're going to short it, I want it to be steeper. So Palantir's not setting up as a short at all. I'm sticking with, like I said, I'm going to stick with Intel. It's just held under VWAP. I'm going to reload this one and keep doing that as long as it works.
Yeah, I mean, the only position I have now is the futures, so we're going to go short that and take some cover here as we're 30 cents in on that. I mean, this has been the only thing that's been working. The only other trade that I've had is this AMD short that we've just keep on taking, not working. Wow, Eli Lilly now 9.15 hearing in our ear.
No stopping.
As that continues to work higher, man, you could look at a stock like NVO as well. I mean, that should work just the same way, right? It's the same kind of a story there. As there goes NVO and there goes Eli Lilly. I am going to go short on AMD breaking 256, so if that comes in, watch out for that. Here comes the futures, so we finally have that one, so we'll see if that can go into the gates of hell as we're finally starting to turn around a little bit here on the Nasdaq. Finally, right? Maybe we do get that final push. we meet the final boss down there somewhere, 114 or so VWAP. I mean, we could retrace all the way back. That would make a little bit of sense there. And if that does retrace back, then you do have some Palantir opportunities as well for a back-ended trade there. Yeah, just a quick little look at what the major markets have been doing. We were looking at this earlier. Finance leading the way today. JP Morgan, we saw SoFi bouncing as well. Goldman, Charles Schwab, nice upside moves. Morgan Stanley 161, Visa, MasterCard, all to the upside here. So if you're hiding out in financials today, you good on that one there. The healthcare technology names, we just talked about that story there. Some White House news for Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk and some of these names with proper funding. Merck there up 3%. That's been a beat up name for sure. We like Merck. Let's go check out, again, Tesla's down 2%. I want to check out some of the energy names right here. So you're going to look at XOM down 0.6, CVX, they're all red, right? I don't know what's going on with Marathon there, but that's down 10%. So that's kind of yucky there, so maybe some news there. Valero also down 265. Derek, can you find out about MPC? Marathon Petroleum, I believe, is the ticker, the name.
Oh, they
there.
reported.
They reported. Okay, so
Earnings, EPS miss, sales
that's the only
beat.
reason it would be that bad.
EPS miss, sales beat. Okay, I guess they're not being rewarded for that. Palantir down 6 on their earnings call. Thank you, Adara. Oh, hold on a second. We have a button for that. There it is.
Thank you very much, Adara.
All right, there it is. Now we go short on AMD and immediately bouncing back against that 256 area. So here it is. We have a new position alert. We're short right now, 256. Well, we have 93s here on advanced micro devices. So let's see if we can get a little lower on this one here. But yeah, not so good so far. We were just waiting for a key level to finally break on this and see if we got some momentum to the back end of this trade. But it doesn't look like it as it holds that 256 for now. Just trying to stop me out, that's for sure. Trying to run a little bit higher against me now is advanced micro devices. So we're not going to trade it with a huge amount of shares, but I liked finally breaking through on some kind of support instead of just averaging up against it. The only time it actually worked is when we finally started to dance around 256. So that's why we choose that short now. And right now it's choosing to go against us. So be patient. I'm going to try to be patient with it. But right now, 256, definitely not holding the short here. As we tried it and not working out. Futures did work out for us as it gets into the 50-period moving average and then completely bounces, which is hurting this AMD trade. But let's see if the futures can also get back to the downside. It looks like we might have just bounced off of key levels all over the place right now. So TQ's downside for now, but holding bid. So, and then there goes again. Looks like we punched the short, and that was a good long for AMD there at 256. So I just thought, hey, man, if the market wanted to retrace, this had a good chance of doing that. So let's hold out on it and give it a couple breaths before we stop out here on advanced micro devices. But it is Rip City to the high side here on AMD.
Yeah, well, this might be the final countdown for Intel, I think. You know, if it continues to put in some higher lows, loosely, but this is held to pretty much the same level. It's like, as I said, it's the only thing that I'm looking at that has held the downward trend. If we break out, my stop is now at 38.10-ish, maybe like a couple of pennies above there, obviously. I don't usually use those evens, but if we do not get back to the lows, you got to respect that eventually. Beyond Meat, I'm trying to add to this, but there's no perfect place to. Yeah, either it's going to bounce VWAP and give 1.5s, or it's going to break down underneath VWAP and be a short underneath prior day low. So I understand there was a story. I don't really care about the story with Beyond Meat so much as until it breaks this pattern of it put in the back end of the trade, and every single day when it tries to go higher, it's like fail prior day high or fail a prior day resistance level. So whichever one it is, whether it's a prior day resistance here at 150 or it's a prior day high, I'm shorting that and playing the trend for the rest of the day because it seems like, with few exceptions, it tends to trend down. So either it breaks this consolidation down and I short underneath, or we wait for that top to reload it. So we'll see what happens with the overall market, but for now, most things are pretty strong. I'd mentioned how strong SoFi was. That's actually pulling back and now back to red again. So what was one of the biggest red to green stories, I think, this morning, at least from what I was looking at, does not follow through. So I think we could be getting a bit of a curl, but I'd rather stick with relatively weak names here. That's what I'm going to try to do. See if we can't get this back to the low of the day on Intel. And I'll stay away from, I know there's an IPO today. I saw Dude V just mentioning this beta. I'm not interested. So I will throw it up. Beta Technologies. I can tell you that the IPO issue was at $34. The tap is 43. Ooh. I can even throw it up on the locator for you. Hopefully.
Tap is 43. What was the price?
34. Okay, so it's up a little bit. The open interest, here's why right now I'm not interested. The open interest is 460,000 shares. The total, like the paired volume is 440 and a 20,000 buy and balance. That's a very small amount of interest. Usually we're looking at millions of shares for the opening print. This is under 500,000 right now. So if that doesn't get significantly bigger, I'm not going to be a big fan. I like the fact that it's trying to open 20% higher. I don't like the fact that it has a small open interest. So liquidity could be a bit of a concern, at least right now. I mean, this could always jump higher and be a few million shares by like 11 or 12 o'clock.
A little bit of a concern is AMD bouncing off 256 for me. We got a couple outs at 256 because we were able to get some more shares there at 30s, but still waiting for much lower here on advanced micro devices, and just got to be patient with it. We were getting some more out of our futures trade as well. Okay, what else are we going on? What else are we trying to go on with here as the day continues for us? Yeah, some talk about Marvell's hanging around $90 as well. So that would be a name that, you know, hasn't really had a bad day today. It's up. So Marvell there could be a place to look for if we're looking for some strength in some of the names, especially in these semi space. As Marvell upside there, we can check out what Broadcom's been up to. We've really been looking, for me, only at AMD, so I don't really know what else is going on. Broadcom up 1%, which we should always, you know, if you're going to trade the chip names, you should always keep in mind, you know, what's been happening. So like actually Nvidia did have a pullback. Like AMD is not pulling back at all, which is a little bit opposite of what I had thought would happen. I thought Nvidia would maybe be the strong one. If I had just sort of put my sort of hat here and rested with Nvidia instead of AMD, we would probably not have the same fate as we've been having today. But there it is, downside for Nvidia. We'll see if AMD can follow suit with that one. It doesn't look like it now. As we get right back up to 257 again, oh boy, we're gonna have to stop out if it breaks again. Like, we just keep on stopping out near these highs. I mean, we haven't stopped out at the complete highs. We've gotten some pretty good outs, but the only real victory that we had was around 10 o'clock, where we got, I think we had some numbers there. The market did fall back in. And yeah, for right now, that most recent short of 256 right there for AMD, thought maybe we were getting top heavy here. Does not look like it, as the Nasdaq also wants to remain relatively strong. So yeah, not a weak day like I think many of us sort of thought it was going to turn out to be. The Nasdaq's almost all the way back, and part of it, I mean, Meta, what a good bounce play that was over the last couple of days. I mean, it got as low as 627, 620. I guess, yeah, 625 might have been the very low, but that in today, now this is starting to fade just a little bit right now, as Meta got all the way back to 645 there today. What a name. Meta continues to push higher. Okay, we're going to have to watch out here as AMD's at the highs again. What's up, Adara?
Before we get to Sector Watch, I do want to mention Caterpillar, CAT. CAT here at that 554 level down in the day, but it's going to be on watch because they are having their investor day right now. CEO of the company says that they're now targeting 5% to 7% sales and revenue at a compounded annual growth rate compared to 4% previous guidance. So they're basically raising their sales and revenue growth here at the compounded annual growth rate for fiscal 2024 to fiscal 2030. So again, increasing that guidance. CAT, though, still a little bit lower. Let's talk here about this sector board, because there's actually quite a few sectors that are green. Finance, of course, leading the way, though Coinbase and Robinhood, the two crypto-adjacent names in the sector, are a little bit weaker. Health technology, pretty strong as well. We know Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk certainly on a watch to the upside. Endpoints reporting that both companies are in talks with the Trump administration with regards to drug price negotiations for obesity drugs. Then we've got consumer services, some weakness here in the travel type spaces, but generally pretty strong. Health services looking pretty good. Retail trade with the exception of Amazon, green. And that brings us to tech, because tech is still struggling. Broadcom, interestingly enough, up almost 1% in electronic technology, but Nvidia red, Micron red, Intel also to the downside. Then tech services, we've got Palantir down 6% in earnings day one, though it has recovered a bit. It was actually SSR down more than 10% at its lows. Oracle, Google also weak. So basically we are seeing a bit of a rotation today. A lot of these non-tech names, specifically finance and health, leading the way, while tech lags a little bit as of right now anyway. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and join us every single day. Back to you.
Johnson.
Yeah, Caterpillar taking it.
Are they getting hit today?
Yeah, getting it.
That's
getting hit.
Maybe.
Look, this one, I recently trimmed some cat, but that was more like the whole portfolio management kind of idea, because it was, well, it should be, I'd have to double check, probably back to Eli Lilly being my biggest non-tech, because Eli Lilly's up today and Caterpillar's down. So my guess is when I look, I'll find that Eli Lilly is my number one holding that is not a tech name, and Caterpillar is now back to number 2. But I'm drawing an imaginary trend line because it's not the trend from the lows, and that's 540, the prior high. I still think the 50 period is a better place to buy this thing. But you reevaluate things when the market looks this strong, where you want to get back in. I'm thinking be a little bit more patient with this. Again, I could be wrong about that, and sometimes you don't get that dip buy when you're way too patient. But that's fine. I own enough Caterpillar. But when you see something like this where everything is rallying and you have a stock that's down, my gut is don't be hasty. It's showing relative weakness today where everything seems to be bouncing off lows. So I can be patient and wait for a couple legs down to rebuy some Caterpillar for sure. So right now we got Intel. It's still making higher lows. As I said, at some point, if the market does take out this high, and for now it's an if, but you're consolidating off this top. If we break out the high, I would suspect the last trade on Intel is going to be a losing trade. Hasn't happened yet, but it's only a matter of time the way the market is going. We keep on rinsing and repeating, and for now it's working. Beyond Meat did the not test back to 150. It broke VWAP. So if it consolidates under, I'm going to start shorting underneath the volume weighted average price to look for it to just go right back to the lows. It has a way of getting to the lows on most days. News or no news, that's just how it is. So Jameson in the chat just said Mara is green. I feel like a lot of things probably went red to green here. Like I'm looking at a few names that I think will hold weakness because Beyond Meat's Beyond Meat and Intel's Intel, but Mara, if the market bounces in Bitcoin, which bounced off a pretty key support at 103.5, you gotta keep some perspective. This is what, look at the wick. That's where we're bouncing on Bitcoin. So it would make some sense if that ends up holding, that you're gonna get a relief rally. And the names that are the miners that have the short floats in them, they're gonna be able to hold green here. Like Mara's back underneath or back above prior support. Didn't quite get to the 200, but that's a good bounce. It's a good bounce area for Mara. I wouldn't be a buyer here because I'm kind of remaining overall trend bearish here. Right, you got to prove more to me than just one day bouncing off of $17 or whatever this happens to be. But yeah, good luck for you. I'm just not thinking this is a reversal. This hasn't broken any kind of a downtrend yet, unless you get back above the 50 period here.
I don't know, man. I mean, this market's pulling back a little bit, and I'm still stuck trying to think that AMD, I'm in my own little la-la land here, thinking that that's eventually going to go down. But we have the TQs. We're starting to cover some of these as well. Just watching the market fade and not AMD fade. So we've gotten some fills here at 40 for flat. But for right now, I mean, it's really holding up well, despite a little bit of a market pullback. I mean, we are waiting for a little bit of a whoosh down. I'm just trying to scalp this out. If we can get some 256s, man, ahead of this 50-period moving average where we initially punched short, then that might be okay. What did I just get there? 30, I thought I was bidding 38s. Sorry, 39s we got, okay, well, whatever. Not a big, huge trade there. We're still waiting for 25s, the quarter level, and then we'll get out of 10%. We've just been getting out of 3-4% at a time, but a bigger piece coming out if we do get below 20, okay, there it is, below 25s, as here we come back into the downside just a little bit now for advanced micro devices. Let's see if that can continue to push a little lower. And we said we'd get some 256s. I don't know why I didn't have any bids there. We'll bid some ARCA there, and we'll put another one a little lower, and then see if we get that. See, what happens when you miss it? You're not paying attention attention. All right, 256.15. We should have got some more shares out there, and we only got partly filled. So hopefully that will come in, and there it is. Will fill us the rest of it, and now we'll start to head to the downside finally, as we've been fumbling a little bit with this short all morning long. DraftKings still below. DraftKings just touched out. We have been getting some, so that was a good out right there at 256 and change. Like, you know, you got to save a little bit here because this is very, very strong. I'm going to put another bid down there on AMD. DraftKings has given us some bottoms of $29, so that could be interesting to hold that little bit of a level there. Back over to some of the quantum names again, just to have a look at something else. Rigetti down 3 right there. QBTS. I think all these names are roughly going to be down 3 or 4% here today as just a standard kind of pullback for the space. We had a great move back into the 50-period moving average that was well bought up. I mean, that was a well spike back to 35 from $25 on QBTS. So just showing you that there is potential for these names to dance around just a little bit right there. Bitcoin on its way back in right now. Let me see if anything's changed with this recent move down right now in the futures, although the ES basically almost, I know it's pulling now back, but we were only down 0.5 at one point. Again, led a lot by the banks. Strong, okay. So we were 68% earlier today. Now we're 71%. So I guess we're more likely now to get that rate cut, which should be good for the market, although we're celebrating now as the market finally starting to pull a little bit for us. Here we go, 65 cents in the money now on the futures as that's starting to give up a little bit. And there we go, okay, so now we finally get some O's. We get our, there we go.
AMD just broke the trend line.
Yeah, I know, trust me, man, I am loaded up, Neil, on AMD. So we were going short AMD on that first trend line break of 256, and then it just is like, no, we're going right back up now. So right there, Neil short AMD, I'm short AMD. Let's see if this name can finally now work back there to the downside. Last time it did this, it ripped up $1 up into 257. So I'm hoping that this gives it up at 256, and then we'll be able to go happy, happy, joy, joy to the downside. But here comes the futures. I'm going to put another bid. Yes. 56, 57s, let's go. Making some money back now today, boys and girls, as AMD finally starting to crank a little bit lower. Let's put some bids at 85s, and there it is, yes, okay. Big trade alert now for Advanced Micro Devices. Finally, we have something on the back end of this, and we have our futures trade finally cooking for us finally now as well. So, all right, good. We finally have these shorts, and they're starting to print out. So let's wait. Now it's 10:50, and it looks like the market maybe now at least reversing a little bit here. So we'll.
And I just remembered, I already know what's for lunch, so I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, okay. We already have that coming.
Where's Joe? Like what I was saying, AMD finally broke that trend. Here it is right here. So there's your 3-minute, there's your bottoming tail candle. There's the first dip after. I tend to not like these crazy 930 lows or highs to give you a trend because so much ridiculous price action and it's so far away from everything else. When it settles down a bit, 1, 2, and then there was the third test. It broke. I'm short. I tried to add to it. This is a play back into the volume weighted average price. And, oh, I didn't even realize it. We have our good friend from the OTC markets coming on through. Mr. Jeffrey Mann. Jeff, it's so good to have you here today because what actually happened was I tried to make a crack about the Cowboys and Shreve wasn't in the room. So now I can say to you, congratulations on losing to Jacoby Brissett. How's it been?
And the 2-5 Arizona Cardinals.
Well, that too.
Well, okay, where do I begin here?
Jeff, welcome to the show, man. How are you doing?
A bit of a quarterback Jacoby Brissett actually is.
Is he?
Maybe the Cowboys should bring on Brissett.
Jeff, when you face the Cowboys defense, generally speaking, you are going to be graded a lot higher than if you placed, a real NFL defense, right? So there is that difference. But we do want to thank you for coming on the show. We'll talk some business, right? What's going on? Give us some updates on Moon. How's that been going? We do know that the after-hours trading, especially with the volatility finally starting to pick up here in the markets, that's probably getting pretty juicy on that side. So how's that going? Any updates over on that product?
No, yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So it's not just Jeff Mendel from OTC Markets. It's Jeff Mendel from trading listed securities on Moon. So actually, so last night the Korean retail community was able to start trading in the U.S. overnight session again for the first time in what seems like almost a year and a half, right? And so, a little tick up in volume, lots of action in, in names like, Yin, Yang, obviously, they're the Hong Kong-based futures up and down ETFs, Nvidia, Apple, Coinbase, Tesla, the triple levered Qs, QQQ. Also, there was a decent amount of action in the Tesla double long. What is that? TSLL, I believe, right? So, a good mix of ETFs, also, popular names, and it's just getting started over on Moon.
And that's sort of, and the best time for it, Jeff, is, I mean, look, there's movement all the time, but when you get into earnings season, also when this market, people are calling it a bubble, right? So people are finicky in the aftermarket in earnings season, and that's going to help it. The other thing, you talked a little bit about, you usually talk a little bit about the ability to trade some names that might report in Asia, and then you get the overnight market. So you've got, I mean, Luckin, BYD, like those types of names are pretty active for you on a regular basis, not just Moon. So you have a little bit of everything for traders. Can you talk to me just a little bit about how that volume's been playing out of the last little bit? Because it's obviously we also have some trade talk going on, and that makes a little volatility for some of the Japanese, Chinese names.
Yeah, definitely right. So, like, let me look at the top. Let me look at the most active names that we have today, right? And so, it's not just what you see there as well, too, right? I'm just, actually the screen's a little blurry, but DIY, Luck and Coffee, LKNCY, BYDDY, which is BYD, Tencent, TCEHY, Nintendo. Right, and then we have Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Right, these are some of the more popular traded names. The first few of which are all APAC-based ADRs. Right, and so a lot of activity in all those names. SoftBank, SFT, BY also up there as well too. So this OTC markets is where these names trade off hours, right? Or so during the daytime here in the U.S. And so, seeing a ton of momentum there, just meaning from like activity trading wise, throughout this entire year. It wasn't just the springtime on Liberation Day. It continued throughout the summer, and now a lot of back and forth going on right now with a tariff pause maybe with China. We're going to continue to see a lot of activity throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Now, can you talk to me? Like, everyone's expecting at some point, next year the markets to go to 23.5. I can't call it 24/7 because it should be 23.5. Before that happens, how do you see that playing out as maybe more people ramp into the notion of trading more hours? Do you see the aftermarket picking up? Because the way I see it is almost like it should be a steady increase to the point where we get to the 23.5. Like, we don't have the ability across the board. You've got a few places where you can execute. Now you guys are one of them. But do you think we see a steady increase in aftermarket volumes till we get to that point and then a possible explosion?
Yeah, so right now, a few years ago, right, this was a very small, very, very small marketplace. We're talking 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. Eastern time when the exchanges aren't open, right? And so, now, today, I'd say on average, there's probably about $2 billion worth notionally traded every night. What I think is going to happen is I think the new average is going to be probably 4 billion to 5 billion with with Korea coming back and also new places or new regions around the world getting into it. And so really I think that's what you're going to see next year. You're talking 24/5, what about 24/7? It already happens with crypto. It already happens with all these people that are trading, just trading in general, right? They're doing it in other classes, other asset classes. Why not equities?
Absolutely. I just want to remind everybody, if you want to learn more, you can go right to the OTC site and you can get eligible securities, understand more about the products, how the liquidity works there. It's all available for you. It's up on the screen. And if anyone's curious, you can always we can always put the link in there as well. But I know I know you're looking at a few individual names there on the OTC as well, Sean.
Yeah, no,
you like some Tencent. I know you like some.
And I do want to say to Jeff, like that's a spot we talked about, some of the valuations here in China recently with the deal over the weekend. And, the OTC market is a great spot. Tencent TCEHY. TCEHY right there. Tencent Holdings has been a great name, holding that $80 level with 500,000 shares already today, and acting like many of these big names here across the pond. LKNCY, Luckin Coffee again. We had Starbucks news today as well. Luckin Coffee over 1 million shares today to the downside, and then of course I know that you know this, Jeff, and I trade some Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Quite often. I haven't done anything today, but look at the movements over here, right? We've been a lot of volume, Jeff, in both Fannie and Freddie recently, as we topped out at 15, now all the way back to 10. So if you're a momentum trader or you want to take shots even on some possible plays, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, you guys have got all these names, plus the ADRs, lots of things to trade over at OTC markets. Have the volumes been picking up just on your main exchange recently with some of these recent moves here with markets touching highs?
Yes. And then also, we always talk about OTCN, right? You see it right there. You see it right there in the level 2 as well, too. That's our ECN, right? So definitely, a great tool for active traders that are sitting out there looking to get in and out of stocks, kind of like what you do, Sean, and the other guys on Trader TV. Great way, lots of liquidity that's sitting in there as well too. But then also some of the other market participants, the wholesalers, the market makers. If you're retail and your broker's probably interacting with them as well too. So good amount of liquidity at the inside. Remember, that let's take the European ADRs like Louis Vuitton, Roche.
Right. I'm on Rolls Royce right now.
Yeah. Rolls Royce, right?
There's a good one.
Like all these market makers are following the inside market. Well, there's market overlap between Europe here and the U.S. too, so they're accessing liquidity that's not only here but also in the local as well too to price these names out. Right. So great thing to kind of look at. Also, for full continuity, right? Also the Canadian names, which we don't always mention here. All the Canadian F shares see a little action in the cannabis names recently as well too. So those 5-letter F shares where you can actually trade a Canadian name in USD. Another one to look at. So really, it's just kind of follow the clock, follow the globe when it comes to trading here.
Here's a great name. I know that you're a recent father. Of course, congratulations to that. We've talked about that on the show a couple times. Pretty soon you're going to be buying a Nintendo Switch if you haven't already. So there goes Nintendo to the upside as well. So, there's a lot of names that are participating over there on OTC. And I just want to bring up your gateway again. OTC is right here on the level 1 and then right behind Puma. Get your Puma shares right there. You probably got a pair of Pumas on right now, Jeff, right? But all right, thank you so much for coming on. You want to leave the viewers with anything other than, predictions for the Dallas Cowboys or anything like that? But any last words there from OTC and from Jeff Mendel?
Listen, we're gonna talk about Jerry Jones and his decision right now. That's he told Dak that he was more important to the team. We have a great offense, but too bad our offense doesn't play our defense every day.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's two sides of the ball, right?
That's exactly.
Thank you for Micah Parsons. That was really nice. We're just going to keep on going.
That's kind of working up for you guys.
Jeff, when's the next time you're here? We'd like to have you.
Congratulations again for beating Patrick Mahomes during the regular season.
Yeah, that's true. Congratulations. The Bills did look pretty good there yesterday, Neil.
They did look good.
You better believe they look good. But I understand. I understand that was a backhanded compliment. But you know what? It's true. Yeah. At the end of the day, I love my team, and they're a very good. Bills are a great team, but they have to prove that we can beat KC in the playoffs. That's just, it is what it is. Like right now, I'll tell you before we get you out of here, I know we have to go to the midday as well. I wasn't as sad as I thought I would be when the Bills lost the when the Jays lost the World Series. As opposed to, I keep on feeling that the Bills were a clearly better team the last couple of years in KC, and they don't get it done. The Jays, on the other hand, were a team that just battled and fought, and no one thought this of them. So when they lose to the best team on the planet, I'm not feeling that yet. I'd probably feel that way if it happens again next year. But the Bills hurt you because I feel they're genuinely better. You shouldn't feel that much pain when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys. Because why would you feel bad when a bad team loses? So you should feel good about it because they're doing what they're expected to do, Jeff. And we're glad I'm going to make sure this is the last word. We're always glad you come on here and give us all the knowledge. And everyone should be, I think the opportunity to trade Moon and trade overnight, this is something we all have to warm ourselves up to because in a year, it's going to be the norm to trade all throughout the day. So thank you for bringing that to us, Jeff.
Before then even, I'm going to get the last word in right now.
That's right. That's right.
Cowboys. We're done talking about that. Great series, Blue Jays and Dodgers, right? Amazing series. Game 6. I mean, the ground rule double.
What else are they gonna do?
Who knows what happened? But I mean, it was an 8.5 game series at the end of the day. Lots of great baseball.
Yeah.
Great to watch. Great to watch. Well, also monitoring Moon at nighttime as well too. So it was,
Sure you did. I like that. Jeff Mendel, thank you so much, man. Be safe there. The next time you're up in Toronto, obviously, we welcome you back into the studio. We can't wait to show it to you again. It's many changes even since the last time you've been here. Go check them out. Go check out Moon. Talk to your brokers about them. Make sure that they can connect over there with Moon. So thank you so much, Jeff, and we'll see you very, very soon.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, that was good.
You gotta do what's for lunch.
Yeah, we really like that. Yeah, what is for lunch today? Okay, let's get that figured out. I gotta go swimming, so forget this. Let's get going pretty soon. All right, what is for lunch? Today, what was for breakfast was Cherie's favorite French toast, but what is for lunch today is Joe's favorite.
Oh no, stroganoff.
It is beef stroganoff today, guys, with buttered egg noodles, roasted seasoned vegetables, and a salad of the Caesar variety. So there it is, Joe. So we're really happy for you and for everybody else here today. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure, Neil. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys at 2 p.m. Ciao till then.
Peace.